positive things as we move throughout this year to keep Carroll the best county in the state of Maryland. We're going to rise for the pledge to the flag, and then we will remain standing for a moment of silence. Please keep all of those in your thoughts and prayers that are serving our country and all the folks on the front lines of public safety. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, once again, Happy New Year, gentlemen. Happy New Year, even though I think each of us has said that to one another. Positively Carroll. Who wants to come out of the gate?
I'll come out of the gate. I spent a couple hours yesterday with the Commission of Aging and Disabilities, and I'll tell you, they are rock stars. What I was expecting walking in is not what I encountered throughout the couple hours. There was probably about 30 some odd folks in the room. It was a packed house. But what was really impressive were the initiatives and enthusiasm that that team is bringing. And it's not just those board members, but the community that were in that room as well. And we're doing a lot of really good things, just like our Veterans Advisory Council. I'm a true believer, don't rest on our laurels, keep pushing and moving forward on those ideas. But it just, wanted to just share, it was a great experience I had yesterday with time spent with them, so. Yeah.
I just want to say, I think in the last week or two, we've attended a lot of legislative breakfasts and lunches from people, and I really give people a lot of credit for taking interest in trying to make a difference in Carroll County and what their needs are. So it's really impressive to get out and hear from other groups what they need and where they are at this time. So I hope they continue. And just a sideline, we have a lot of boards and commissions out here. If people are interested in applying for any of the boards and commissions, just go to the bottom of the web page, click on boards and commissions, submit an application to one that has your interest or more than one. It's we need people who want to volunteer and get involved.
Went to the Farmers Legislative dinner the other evening. That was very nice at the Ag Center. What a wonderful group of people. They seem to be a silent group in our community for the most part, doing their job as farmers, keeping us all fed. And I've been educated that we're #1 in Christmas trees.
Christmas trees?
#1 in sheeps and goats.
Sheep and goats.
Sheep's knowledge to me that I did not know, but they are a very intricate and sizable portion of our local economy. I'd like to give a shout out to all of our farmers. Keep up the good job.
Very well. Dennis?
Nothing.
Got nothing. Okay, so I'll take about 45 minutes to give you some positive stuff. First of all, I would like to thank my colleagues for a very successful State of the County address on Tuesday, and certainly thank our Chamber of Commerce for continuing to put that event on. Pretty much standing room only at the Carroll Arts Center, and gives us an opportunity to look forward, kind of share what we would like to see, and for those of us that have been here for a few years, reflect back on what we have accomplished. So I want to thank all of you for a great event. No disrespect to other colleagues, but I think that might be, this is the 5th one for me. I think it was the best one ever. So maybe that's...
I'll second that.
Okay.
That's because you're president.
No, it's because of, I think because of the cohesion and the respect that we have for one another. And I've said this many, many times, and I said it about the prior board as well. One of the things that I enjoy is the values and the experience that all of us bring to this table. And I think that means a lot as we move forward. So I want to thank all of you for a positive event on that. Yesterday started the legislative session in that quaint little village of Annapolis. It's going to be a rough year down there from every forecast that we have gotten, and certainly I'm going to roll right into Mako because we attended that. Was that last week? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was last week. Good grief. But from all the reports that we have gotten, It's going to be a very, very challenging year down there, and maybe not just because of the fact that of the partisanship, but because there are so many new legislators down there, and you know, it takes a while to learn the ropes and get your feet under you when you get a position like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how many bills. I think last year there were 3,300 bills that were introduced. They're anticipating that again this year and maybe more. So we'll see what comes out of that. We're going to be relying on them heavily for the next 90 days, 89, to bring some positive things back to our county, including the infamous education funding that they're going to be working on, and whatever they come up with the opioid situation down there. So, and then I'll roll right into Mako and thank everyone that was involved in that. Carroll County was incredibly well represented, and I heard that from a lot of folks down there. I have the honor now of serving on the board of directors of the Maryland Association of Counties, and I'm not saying that because of me. I'm saying that because of Carroll. It is good to have the input down there on that very, very strong and important group, especially in the next 89 days. So I'd like to thank my colleagues for that. I think you all got an education down there, and most importantly, all of you got a chance to network with our colleagues from across the state, and that's a very important, very important when we get involved with them. So.
And one add-on to that, we do have a lot of county staff involved in state issues and state level things, and I give them a lot of credit for attending and stepping up and being involved in all the other Mako activities that they get involved in. And I think probably as many or more than any county in the state involved. I'm really impressed with that.
Yep.
And just one sideline, yesterday was Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Thank you for what you do. I mean, it's a little late here. We're sending donuts, but thank you for what you guys do.
Glad I didn't say that.
I couldn't resist.
So that was the last thing. You beat me to it. I did spend the day yesterday with a lot of folks. I actually had the opportunity to take a tour of our detention center. I wish there was a way.
There's a comment. I won't make that comment.
Yeah, I know. They did let me out, Dennis. So, and I am so glad they did. I wish there was a way that we could allow the opportunity for knuckleheads to have a tour there before they do something stupid, because when you get in there, it really messes with your mind, and it gives you an experience unlike any other. I can't imagine anybody that would want to spend time in a facility like that. And I'll take that a step further and say the men and women who are serving over there day in and day out, you know, we thank our officers on the street, our municipality. We have great police departments, our Carroll County Sheriff's Department, our Maryland State Police, and we've got a great state fire marshal's office here too, who are part of our law enforcement. But those men and women who day in and day out work in that facility, it is unbelievable to me what they put up with. When I walked in, I was given a report as to how 4 of them were injured the day before, bringing in a person that needs help. Matter of fact, one of our guys has a broken nose over there. It was that bad. It took 4 to restrain this young guy. That's what they do every single day. So, man, if you get a chance and you know people that are family members or whoever that work over there, a thank you goes a long way. And I saw that yesterday.
It'd be a great newspaper article to take a tour. And
yeah, when Dick, you and I were in there when there was a retirement not too many weeks ago, and even when the doors go shut behind you, it is unbelievable. So anyway, enough of that.
Yeah.
But thank you to all the folks across the county. We are the safest county in the state of Maryland, and it's as a result of all the efforts and the great policing that we see. So thank you very much. And we have one of our fine gentlemen with us this morning, so we appreciate it. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Item number 1 is a discussion by us in reference to forming a charter government committee. And I would suspect that we have, I would suspect that we have some public comment. So we'll roll into that as right now.
All right, the first person who I have a card is Ms. Kathy Fuller.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
County government is already spending at a rate that meets its entire revenue income. That's why the board last year could not keep our property taxes to the constant yield. They needed that money to meet the bills. Charter government is expensive. Frederick just turned from commissioner to charter. They voted on it in 2012, and they had their first election for county executive in 2014. From 2012 till the FY19 budget, there were huge increases. There were huge increases in the main office expenses. They went from a set of commissioners, county manager, and county attorney at a total of $2.5 million in 2012 to a county executive, council, and county attorney in their 29 budget of $3.87 million. This is taken from their budget documents. That's an increase of $1.3 million, or a 50% growth in the cost of their main office. Their population grew less than 10% in that period. So there's little reason other than the added people and salaries that came with charter government. Frederick used to have excess revenue over spending while they were commissioner government, but now they're spending every penny they take in. Why? Because the county executive makes all budget decisions herself, and the council has to get at least 3 members together to stop her spending. So it's easy to spend, but it's hard to stop. Carroll can't afford that. We don't have any room in our budget for more expensive government than we already have. To fund a larger government, the only alternatives are to bring in more dense development or raise taxes or both. And none of those things are good for the residents and taxpayers of Carroll. We're already in the top tier of income tax rates in the state. This is only one reason out of many for us to stay away from charter, and I'm going to give you a second. In 2 years, 2014 to 2016, Anne Arundel proposed 254 pieces of county legislation. That's mind-boggling. 215 of those passed. 177 of them were requested by the county executive. Those are bills that control various aspects of the citizenry, not the government for the most part. Having a full extra layer of government sure does make government operate more efficiently. That is, if efficient is passing huge numbers of legislation which control the voters and the taxpayers, grow the authority, size, and cost of government. Charter is bad for Carroll residents, and that's why we've pushed it back 6 times, maybe more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Jennifer Maytier. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak.
Scoot over to the.
Okay.
This is for the
Is it
thousands
on?
of
It doesn't even
listeners.
feel like
Yes.
it's on.
Well, it's for the folks that are listening on online.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm Jennifer Mateer. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. And I just want to let you know that I don't believe that change equals progress or excellence. In fact, if I could have, I would have ridden my horse here today. I want to say that I am comfortable with commissioners, and I believe that that it's your job to keep our county clean and beautiful. I would like to see you keep our farmlands and keep development out. And I believe this is the way that we will keep Carroll County to be the best county in Maryland. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next is Bruce Holstein.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I'm here today with a simple message. No charter government, no tax increases. Do not vote to form a charter writing committee. Stop the process before it even gets started. Yesterday, I read an article in the Carroll County Times about the Board of Commissioner priorities, including charter government. Why are you resurrecting the idea of charter government again? This county has voted it down 6 times. County residents voted to form the current form of government only 8 years ago. Did you receive a bunch of emails saying, hey, we want charter? I don't think so. Clearly, public opinion's not driving it. It's being driven by a couple of commissioners. The newspaper said the effort toward charter 2 years ago, quote, resulted in failure because of misinformation spread through flyers at the last minute that residents did not have enough time to fact check, close quote. My recollection is that the board suspended their effort because many signs appeared throughout the county opposing charter. As I recall, the sign said the number of laws in Anne Arundel County increased, and they did. The signs also said taxes went up in Frederick County, and they did. So I think there needs to be more specificity about what constitutes misinformation. The article also said that commissioners need help from state legislatures to get ordinance out of Annapolis. That's a true statement. However, the article did not mention that the legislature routinely approves county-specific ordinances by an item called local courtesy. In fact, here they are. I submitted a PIA request to the county council covering the past 8 years of these proposed ordinances and was not able to find one that was disapproved. This is it. 8 years. It's 33 pages. That's it, total. The quality of life in Carroll is better than every surrounding charter county. We have lowest crime, the lowest dropout rates, the lowest debt, the 3rd lowest unemployment, and the highest agricultural preservation rate. Every surrounding county that adopted charter went Democratic. The Carroll County Democratic Central Committee supports charter, and that should raise a red flag for Republicans. County executives can take dictatorial actions. For example, in Frederick County, their executive forbid any contact between their department heads and the county council, which includes several Republicans on the council. County executives routinely make 6-figure salaries. We don't need a county executive because the commissioner form of government works well. Other reasons to stop this process now: charter will make it easier for government to raise our taxes. Charter will make it easier for government officials to raise their own salaries. Charter will concentrate power in one person, the county executive. Commissioners, we elected you to serve us. One campaign slogan was listen, learn, and lead. Please listen to us today. We don't want bigger government. We don't want a county executive making $100,000, and we don't want you to raise our taxes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Sally Taylor.
Good morning and congratulations on your election and re-election, as the case might be, to the Carroll County Board of Commissioners. I would like to add my voice to those in this county who are against the charter form of government. Recently, I've heard the call from newly elected and incumbent commissioners to change or to explore this form of government. The current system has been called outdated, using a horse and buggy analogy. It's been called inefficient and slow. Some have even said Carroll County needs to grow up. But what I've not heard is what you want to do that you can't already do. Specifics. Do you want to take over the police department and get rid of the sheriff? What are your goals? Just because there's another system out there does not make it better. To me, you have the best of both worlds, legislator and executive. No referendum of your decisions, unfettered access to county department employees, setting budget priorities, not just approving someone else's. What I like about the commissioner form of government, it allows for more, not less transparency. The only thing that I might urge is that you unite our county and allow all the citizens to elect all 5 commissioners. I urge you to support the current county form of government. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
And the last speaker is Teresa McCullough.
Good morning, commissioners, and Happy New Year.
Morning.
Thank
I'm
you.
Teresa McCullough, CCEA president and Carroll County citizen. CCEA was represented at the State of the County address, and just a comment about thinking outside the box in accordance to the charter government. It's what we educators do. It is a wonderful way to make decisions, being creative and thinking outside the box. So we appreciated that comment. And just as a side, thank you for those who attended the legislative breakfast last Saturday. Lots of good discussion was had in accordance to our education issues and topics just pertaining to Carroll County. And we look forward to Monday night's local lobby night to have a smaller group discussion on the same issues. Those of you who haven't scheduled yet, we have room in our schedule for other times. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay. All right, so we know how this came up, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Commissioner Boucher, because I think both you and Commissioner Frazier had requested this to be on our agenda, so
Thank you, President.
You're up first.
Can we have the county attorney come forward? Well, you acted like we were judges earlier.
You had us at all rise, so.
Well, the reason we have the county attorney here is I had campaigned on the issue of switching over to a chartered system of government and what it would take to get that passed and implemented so that we could have elections for a county executive and a county council in 2022. For that to take place, there's certain parameters that need to be met, and I think we as commissioners need to be educated by the county attorney. If we were going to have this as a referendum on the ballot in 2020, what precisely would need to take place?
The Board of County Commissioners would have to vote to create a charter board of 5, 7 to 9 members. There's a process for contesting that, which I won't get into by the citizens. Once the charter board is selected and seated, they would have 18 months to prepare a charter. It's sent back to you at that point, and you have to publish it twice within 30 days. And then the voters cast their ballots either at the next congressional or general election within 30 days, 30 to 90 days after publication of the charter in the newspaper, or a special election can be within that time also. There's also a provision in the elections law saying that you need to have a ballot question to the Board of Elections by the second Monday in the month of August, in the year in which the general or congressional election is going to be held. So it's a very tight timeline for 2020.
Would it be feasible to accomplish?
You would almost have to have your board members ready to start almost immediately, and if they intended to take the full 18 months.
What would be the option if we were to get this done before the 2022 election, potentially for county executive?
You would have to, as I said, have a charter board seated almost immediately.
You had mentioned special election earlier. What would be the options on a special election past that date in between then and 2022?
The process would be the same. You just wouldn't have to meet the deadlines that I talked about getting it on the ballot. You wouldn't have to meet that August deadline.
I think to add on to what Commissioner Boucher is asking is, do you know the process in having a special election? I mean, how long does it take from, if we determine that special election would be a course of action or necessary? What are the parameters? Do you have those details?
It would be the same thing. Your charter board.
Outside the chart, just standing up a special election. Could we just say we want a special election tomorrow and get the Board of Elections to have a special election, or is there a timeline in putting together a special election?
Yes, after the charter board completes their 18 months, and you publish it twice in the newspaper,
right,
you would have to have a special election within 30 to 90 days of
I apologize.
that. So you'd have to approach the Board of Elections and see what that would take.
But the charter board doesn't have to take 18 months to write the charter. It could be anywhere from 12 to 18 months. Is that right?
Right. Some of them there was one I was reading in a book, it took 6 months. One it took 17.
was a special election cost? Any idea?
A lot of money.
Did you happen to get that information from the Board of Elections?
I don't have the cost, but I do know that special elections are more expensive and have a lower voter turnout. And that's what concerns me, that if we did go the option of a special election, I don't think the populace would be properly represented in that election to determine the future of our county's government. That's why I'd emphasize with the potential of getting it on the presidential election ballot, because we'd have the highest voter turnout of any election cycle. I think it'd be important to have the most amount of citizens come forward and vote on this, and that's one of the reasons I had emphasized potentially getting on the 2020 ballot. I would like that and prefer that option, but it seems I don't have that much support on this board.
Well, I would like, if we're going to push this forward, to see it put on the presidential election, because you have the most voter turnout. I'd like the most people to get out there and vote for this. The last time there was a special election held, because I just went through and looked through the book here, 26% voter turnout. That's anemic. It's not, I mean, it's not worth the cost and expense to do that. If we're going to do this, if we're going to push it forward, I would like to see it put on the presidential election cycle, because you have the most voter turnout. You can get, 78, 80% of the voter turnout. If we want a true representation of what this will do, what this won't do, let's put it on that cycle. I also like to make a comment. Believe it or not, the Carroll County Times kind of misquoted me when I was talking about the, I know it's hard to believe, I'm talking about the charter. It wasn't 2 years ago that the flyers went out. It was the last time that there was an election for charter government. 2 years ago, this board, not this, but the last Board of Commissioners voted to table it. It's a little different. Thank you.
Yeah, that is different. So before we get into, unless you have a specific question,
Nope.
I wanted to let Eric finish, and then we'll go with pros, cons, whatever here in the discussion. That's
Yeah, I'd like to see more open discussion from the other board members of what their
okay.
opinion is.
Okay, so you're good?
For now, I can follow up.
So,
Okay.
if I can, add a couple of my thoughts, ideas. As I shared in the state of county, I think we're doing awesome. I mean, we have 2.8% unemployment rate, second lowest in the state. As I mentioned in my remarks, about 92% of those in Carroll County are high school plus educated. We're doing really well. And it's not the whole idea if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's not where I'm going. And I'm not also going with the horse and buggy automotive piece.
That was
Frazier,
brilliant.
I will not go there, but that's also not where I'm going, because I'm not all about change just because it's needed to have change. We are the 8th largest county in the state, and yes, those counties that are larger than us are charter government. But just because that's the case doesn't give us, or should determine whether we should pursue charter or not. It really comes down to understanding the problems that we have within our community and our county. I'm here to serve our community, and I absolutely believe in that listen, learn, and lead approach. And I believe we need to take a breath, and doesn't mean stop, but take the breath and the opportunity to listen and learn. Listen and learn from us, the community, the county, those of interest on whether to pursue or not pursue charter or commission or code home rule. There are 3 forms of government that we have that can govern our jurisdiction, 24 jurisdictions. We did just come from the Maryland Association of Counties, or MACO, and it was recommended by a handful of our own delegates that we get mentored and developed ideas from using MACO. So my recommendation is to reach out to MACO and have them come in and discuss opportunities and ideas. I also had opportunities to sit with a retired state senator, Mac Middleton, from Charles County. He just transitioned, Charles County recently transitioned from Commissioner Form of Government to Code Home Rule. And it was a great opportunity. I sat for about an hour plus with him, and we talked about the reasons he did that and also the pitfalls that he encountered while he was going through that transition. I think we have a great opportunity to reach out to folks like him, Also, like Frederick County and Cecil County, who most recently, I think most recently transitioned from commission form of government to charter, and learn from them the best practices, the reasons why, and then also the pitfalls. As I shared in my comments yesterday, I'm not driven by any agenda. I'm not driven by any timeline. My focus is on supporting the county. We as a government are a tool in the toolbox for the county, and to me the largest tools in the toolbox are the people. As I shared about the Aging and Disability Commission and the Veterans Council, I don't know whether us as a government should be that hammer, screwdriver, or pair of pliers. Okay, in other words, should we be the commission formed, code home rule, or charter? I have my opinions, but I believe we need to take the time to have the discussions on what we're doing well, how to continue the things we're doing well, and maximize our people in the county, what we're doing not so well, and then figure out what are the tools that we need to put in place, whether it's charter or code home rule or commission form. We need to figure that out before we jump into a solution. And the last comment is my biggest concern, if we determine to stand up a commission or a group to a committee, I apologize, a committee to write a charter, then we up here have determined that the charter is the right way to go. And I'm absolutely not, I'm not able to say that at this point. I think we need those pieces in place before we get to that next step. I do understand the agenda item, the timeliness of this. But you know, I'm not driven by those timelines. I'm driven by representing our county and doing what's best. So we've all had individual discussions, and we're trying to do as much homework as we can individually and now collectively. So I do appreciate having the opportunity to have this discussion now. But I think what the best thing we should do is continue the discussion with open meetings, having mentored from Frederick and Cecil and Charles and others, and Mako and others, that we think are relevant to determining whether we should be pursuing a charter government or not. So, thanks.
I agree with you. I do believe in education. I believe we need to have, before we jump into something, we need to have some open forums or open meetings, hearing from those governments, the pros, the cons, you know, what problem are we fixing here? And we start to listen to what they have to say. And that should be open to the public, should be open to evening meetings, to hear from representatives from each of those governments, see what it is, what is out there, where they've gone. I am concerned about money spent. I'm concerned about tax rates, and I want to have a chance to ask them, you know, how did this affect your local budget? How soon after you went this, if you went that way, was your tax rate affected? And I think we have to look at all these things. I think we owe it to the voters of Carroll County to look at all these and have a chance to hear the same things we hear, and then we look into it as is this an option or not? There's no rush. I mean, I understand your passion for getting it into the 2020, but you know, we've been doing this for 100 and some years, whatever the number is. Anyway, yeah, almost. And we've gotten by. Okay, I know,
give or take,
you know, there's a passion to change it, but we don't have to rush to do that. I think to take a little bit of time and look into everything is fine at that point.
I mean, so let me roll here a little bit, and then I'll go with the
Don't eat up all
with
the
the
time.
counterpoint. No. So first of all, out of the gate, I heard special elections. I am incredibly opposed to any special election. They are extremely expensive, and logistically, they're a nightmare. So that for me, that's out of play. But let me talk about charter for a minute. And look, 2 years ago when this came up, I was one of those guys that got beat up a little bit by saying we had the appearance of being at the kids' table when we're at these various meetings and, you know, throughout the Baltimore metro region. So I want to make it clear that you know, I can see both sides of this story. My problem is the speed in which we are attempting to get this done. This is going to be a huge, huge step for Carroll County. And we've tried to do it before, and I get that, and someone actually even referenced the fact that in '98 when it was done, there are already things that have been written, but good grief, that's 20 years ago. Can you imagine how much is out of date on those things? I mean, I don't even know how much would apply to be able to reference back to those things as sort of a starting point, if you will, or a get-ahead type of deal to put it together. I've got a lot of problem with charter right now, and it's based on things that I've been seeing. One of the things that I've been talking about is our staff, and I've talked about that for the last 4 years that I've been sitting in this seat. And I have watched in the last month the new county executives coming in and completely replacing staff. The inconsistencies that occur as a result of that are very, very troubling. I mean, can you imagine us going into a budget cycle with a brand new budget and management director? Oh, by the way, and charter government does their budgets behind closed doors. Everything that we do is in front of the camera. I can't imagine what that would do to this county to bring those kind of inconsistencies, and you all see it. Again today, Anne Arundel County just appointed a new economic development person. You know, Frederick County has a new this. Baltimore County just did this. And the replacement, they replace them not on their job performance, but they can replace them based on whether they like them or not, which is very troubling to me. We are so blessed to have the consistency in our senior staff that we do here, and we're able to achieve the positive things in Carroll because of that consistency. So that's one of the biggest challenges that I see with charter. Now, could you write it in that they can't do that? I don't think so. You can't do that. The county executive, whoever it would be, he or she would be able to bring in whoever they want. And I'm really, really troubled with that.
Steve, just real quick, because
Are
I came
you
from
interrupting me?
No, yes, I am.
Okay.
So I came from charter government, and I was one of those appointed. I was the economic developer, as you know, in Anne Arundel County, and that's exactly right. From the point when I left Anne Arundel County, we've had 4 economic developers in Anne Arundel County. So that is a challenge. So
It is, and
no one
for
to take your place.
for us to replace some of our senior staff, because of the structure that we have, it takes more than one person to get rid of someone just because they don't like them.
Right.
So if there's one huge reason for me, that one is it. I'm really troubled by that. Now, I will say, and I've said this before, that I am very interested in seeing this county attempt to try to get to code home rule. And I'll tell you why, and I'll give you an example. And this one's near and dear to my heart. You know, we went through the process last year of getting enabling legislation to do something with our fire service. Why in the world should we have to rely on Prince George's County, Montgomery County, Baltimore County, Frederick County to tell us what to do with our fire departments? If we were a code home rule county, we could make these decisions and continue the structure that we have. I think because of the fact that this is such a huge decision for Carroll, that would be a better way, a phased-in approach, if you will, to keep our structure, but yet give us more authority to make local decisions that, in many cases, it's none of the business. I don't care what Prince George's says about us. I don't care what Montgomery says about us. It's about us making decisions for us. So, I've read the book, the Code Home Rule book. That was great reading.
You slept well, didn't you?
Yeah, I slept well that night, nights. But I do think that if we're going to do anything, that perhaps that would be the way in which we go. And you referenced Commissioner Rothstein, Charles County. Mm-hmm. And I have the opportunity to serve on the board with the president of Charles County's commissioners, and we had a long talk about that process. And that very thing came up with them. They wanted the ability to be able to make decisions for Charles. They didn't want Baltimore, Howard, Montgomery telling them how to do things in Charles. So that's why they went to a code home rule, and they sort of looked at it as a stepped approach. And this is such a huge decision. Now, I will say, Commissioner Boucher, I truly do appreciate your passion. I really do. When someone gets behind something, I like to listen because I think it's important, and I think it's important that we investigate all those things. And Commissioner Frazier, same thing. I appreciate your passion on it, but I do think we need to step back, and we need to take our time. I like what my two colleagues said in reference to let's get educated on what has happened in other counties. And I'll say again, you know, what's the rush? I've also watched the challenges, and we just saw it recently with the Monocacy River Plan. That plan, which is an advisory plan, by the way, it's not a written rule, got so deep in the mud of politics in Frederick County that it was absurd to me. What did we do here in Carroll? We listened to our Farm Bureau, we listened to the folks that own property against the Monocacy, and we made the decision. Up there, you know, with all due respect, and I love the county executive, we have a very good working relationship, but it got deep in the muck and mire, pun intended here,
That's
of the
getting cleaned
Monocacy
up, by
River.
the way.
It did. So there's an example of how you can get things so jammed up with that form. So I'm gonna shut it down, but I think you all know how I feel. I would love the ability to be able to investigate more, bring folks in to talk with us, maybe have a work session. But to rush this thing and push it just to get it on a ballot is unacceptable to me. And in its present presentation, I will not support moving forward.
Now, I have the same questions in code home rule as I do for charter government. I want to see all of those answered. both
Sure,
ways.
I agree.
And
I agree, Dick. I'm right there with you. But you know, I get a sense that perhaps the citizens would be more accepted of that, because I can give. I mean, the fire department thing is just a recent thing, but I can give more examples on how we could have made those decisions ourselves, and especially with the tone of the things that are going on in Annapolis. I mean, let's be clear. We all know what the numbers are down there. We know what we know how many people have D's beside their name and how many have R's. Y'all do the math. We know what's going to get done down there. So if that's even perhaps more of a reason to allow us to be able to make the decisions for us.
Mm-hmm.
So
And the importance is to keep the momentum going on having this discussion. This is not something that's going to be shelved and we're not going to talk about, but we need to continue to talk about what is going well, what's not going well within our community and our county and our government, and then have discussions of learning how other forms of jurisdiction, how other counties are working, and see the value, and then make the decisions from there. The one other last point is we were a AAA bond rating this past year. That is pretty impressive. I don't know if that was the first time we've ever done it.
It is.
We've
had,
had two AAAs.
We've had, but all three.
Right.
All three.
But
going
to be
triple.
across the board.
That's huge. And
Yeah.
again, from a economic developing perspective, you know, in Anne Arundel County, Carroll County wasn't. This is the first time, and that is the success of the community and the government that we have in place. So I am impressed with that.
So
Well, I don't have any problem, actually being a teacher, of people getting more education on the charter and the home rule and so forth. I think it's a great idea. Matter of fact, before we talked about this last time, I reached out to Frederick County and Cecil County. I have their charters right here, by the way, and talked to them about the transition and what happened and so forth. And after talking to them is why another reason I wanted to try to push this forward. If you all want to do the same thing, that's great. If we have some people come in here in an open session, have some back and forth, that's great. I'm all for it. I am not for a special election because of the low voter turnout. So if we can't get it on it, or I'd love to see it on the presidential, and the real reason for the presidential is it's the higher voter turnout. It really is. If we can't get it on that one,
Right.
if the timeline doesn't make that, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
we can wait to the governor's election. That's fine. But I would like to try to do something with this board to try to move forward, to look at this and have the information out there. And again, as I've always said, have the right information out there. And a lot of, and I have to say, Commissioner Wentz, I think a lot of your apprehension about this has more to do with the people that may be in there, because what you're talking about, someone executive comes in and they bring the new staff in, that has more to do with the person that's elected rather than the position itself.
But there's still that.
Right, there is that possibility.
Right.
And you can't deny that.
Yeah.
There is that possibility.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you put good people in office, I mean, my feeling is they'll do the right, make the right
That
choices.
doesn't always happen.
But,
you know.
but,
No, it does not.
But, yeah,
I mean,
that's
you're-
the
with this-
problem.
okay.
Yeah, so, but I agree with you. And the other thing that I didn't bring up was, I believe, and I don't know how much delayed it, but I believe that there was a group that challenged in court the choices that the commissioners made in Frederick County of the committee members. So so there's always that too. So I guess that goes.
Require a special election.
Yes, so you're right. So there you go with the theme. Again, it's just too much of a decision to push. If I think we're making a big step here by saying, look, let's bring in other jurisdictions, let's bring in experts, let's get educated, let's not just table it like we did 2 years ago.
Right.
Let's move it forward on a better pace, and perhaps we'll be ready for whatever it is in 2026 or 2, whatever. 2, 4, 6, whatever.
Do you know what year this is?
I don't know. What year is it?
I would suggest the educational component, though, be held in the evening, where general public can come out, be a part of that, not to be just during this time. A lot
Sure.
of people cannot attend here, and I don't know if we invite one at a time or one or two and hear their
We can figure
two,
that out.
and then maybe one for code home rule and maybe one
Right.
a couple for
We-
charter at different times.
Yeah, I agree, Dick. We can get staff to be able to do that and put those together. So,
I like to add that what motivates me the most on this issue is it's about political science. Inherently written into the Constitution is the division of executive and legislative authority. That's the #1 tenet of our basis of government throughout the United States. We have a president and Congress, we have a governor and a General Assembly, we have mayors and town councils, but we as a commissioner board encompass both executive and legislative authority, and that just completely violates the most basic premise of the United States Constitution. This form of government is a holdover from British colonial rule. Very few people realize that, and very few people realize that there's no countywide publicly elected official running our county government full-time, overseeing the administration. We have a wonderful administration, but the bottom line is, for those people out there ultra-conservatives think that bureaucrats are running things, you should be on board with the fact that we should be electing a public county official to oversee our administration. We also presently have 8 charter governments operating within the borders of Carroll County right now. All of our municipalities are chartered governments. So this is not an alien theme or a subversive thing to try to implement. It's about empowering the people. Once we appoint a potentially 9-member commission to write the charter, those individuals will be coming together like our founding fathers at the Constitutional Convention, represent all of us collectively as citizens, writing the local constitution for Carroll County. For me, as a Republican in Carroll County, this is about an independence movement, that we should be declaring our independence from the General Assembly. I am a Republican. I am passionate about the fact that we should not be taking local-only ordinances hat in hand to the overwhelmingly Democratic-controlled General Assembly to determine what we should do locally. I am sorry, but Baltimore City, PG County, Montgomery County senators and delegates have absolutely no business deciding on whether we can issue bonds to finance our debt or decide whether we should consolidate our fire department. These things are very passionate for me, and we're faced with a timeline between now and the next 4 years as to whether we will change our government over. If we do wait until 4 years to vote on it during the next gubernatorial election, then we would not be voting for a county executive and county council until 8 years out. That's a long ways out. I don't have control of the time frame. The law has control of the time frame. But if we don't make this deadline for the 2020 presidential election, then the only other option would be the special election, which is expensive and has a low voter turnout. But that seems to be like the only potential option we're faced with. It'll be a monumental task to overcome. And the only way we could potentially overcome that is through education. And I think it's incumbent upon us as commissioners to do the research, to inform the public, and educate the public as to what the best options are for us as a conservative county to achieve our independence from the General Assembly.
I don't think it's out of the question to get this on the next presidential ballot. I don't think it is. It's only out of the question if it takes 18 months to write the charter. You don't have to take the 18 months. It can be as little as 12 months. If we got a charter committee together and they had 12 months to do it, now we can push this back 6 months because they don't have to do the 18. Now, if they took the 18, now we can't tell them you must take 12 months. I'm not saying that. But if they could get it together in 12 months and get a charter out there, it could still be on the presidential election. And that way we would still have time to reach out to the other counties, which, like I said, we've already done, and get people in here. If we work through it quickly, we could still get this on the next ballot if we wanted to do that. And that's, we'll have to see. I'm not saying how the board would vote. I'm saying, getting the information, getting the education is fine. Let's move forward with that, but let's move forward with that quickly. Because if we're going to move forward with this, I, like you, Commissioner Boucher, would like to see this on the presidential ballot, not 4 years later.
But they couldn't move too quickly because the voters have to cast their ballots within 30 to 90 days after you receive the
Right,
charter and
right.
advertise.
Now, we have to work the timeline out, but it could be worked out that we get the information in first and all this happens. It could be worked out that way.
Yes, it could.
So, I'd like
Okay.
to make a motion.
Okay, before you do that, I want to, again, I appreciate the passion that we're seeing here, okay?
Absolutely.
Let's be clear.
And- And the motion actually
so-
dovetails to what Commissioner Boucher shares, and I think we've all shared, and that is the education piece. And I do appreciate the comment from the public about the listen, learn, lead. Sometimes we have to be reminded to have that ability to listen and not just hear, but listen, learn, and then lead. So the motion is to do just that, listen and learn over a set period of time, and we can have that discussion, but I think it's about 90 days to, well, was it end of January to, I guess, May, whatever it may be, to bring in and staff folks to come in and have open discussions to learn about how they transitioned from one form of government to another. It could be from commission to charter. It could be commission to code home rule. After that time, make the determination on what course of action to go forward to. So I know that's awfully long in what I'm saying. It's not so much a motion, but the motion is to put in place the time to listen and learn on how we are going to be, what choices we have in moving forward. I'm just concerned about the timeline of this, whether it be 90 days or 120 days. And I'm open to that, so I just, go ahead. Yeah, if you can.
A lot determined, you're asking other governments to
Correct.
come in during the time of the General Assembly and all of
Right.
all of us doing our budgets.
Right.
Just
So,
real-
no,
it's just-
and
they're
then-
all
You can't have a
doing their budgets
timeline
at
on
the
this.
same time
Yeah.
we're doing ours, and
Okay.
and it's also General Assembly time, so I would.
If not
leave it out
necessary-
to do this as quickly as possible, but we're
Right.
gonna rely
Okay.
on other
Eh,
folks, so.
Okay.
Educators,
Well, it could be.
Yeah,
But,
whatever.
It could be Mako,
I-
it could be, but so
yeah.
if we don't have to put a time parameter on it, I say the motion is that we put in place the staffing so we can get together for that listen and learn approach and bringing jurisdictions in on how they transition governments.
So, if I may,
Please.
so you would just want a motion to direct staff to set up a variety of listening and
What she
learning
said.
sessions with other
Yes.
officials from counties as well as Mako and anyone else. because
It's
they
just
have
what you
to
said,
be
right?
instructed
That's exactly
with,
what I
with
said.
a sense of urgency,
Yes.
so we can get this done
As much as we
as
Within-
quickly as we can within reason.
within the parameters set forth by the county attorney to be able to potentially hit the 2020 ballot?
You can't put
I
those
think that you
parameters
can't
on.
do that. because the 2020 ballot, if they take the 18 months plus the 30 days, we would have to stand up a commission or committee, I apologize, like today to do that, and it's impossible to stand up that committee. It could happen. It could happen that the committee take less than the 18 months. And if that's the case, we're not driven by the timelines, we could potentially get it on the 2020 ballot. But
Well, if
That's
you're going
what
to,
I'm ultimately hoping, because I
Okay.
think it would truly do our citizens justice if we hit that target of the 2020 ballot where we'd have the highest voter turnout.
Right. But if we can't, I'm not in favor of having a special election in between both the presidential and the gubernatorial election. I'm not in favor of that at all. Then we can
okay, I get all that. but-
slow it down
But
because.
you need to get this down to a motion that we all understand, because you all are
Well, we
all
don't
over the
need
map.
I don't know why we need a
So-
motion. We just need to direct staff.
Okay, but there's suggestion that, we're directing staff to make sure that, so we can get it on 2020. If that's the motion, I'm not
No.
in favor of that at
I want
all.
to clarify the
If you're gonna
motion
put a
on that.
timeline on it, you got a no from me.
And I apologize, the motion is
the
not
other four are.
driven by timelines. The motion is to direct staff to put together, with a sense of urgency, a plan in bringing in other communities, other jurisdictions, so we can have the opportunity to listen and learn on how they transition governments from commission form to other forms of government.
I think that's a step forward. I
Okay.
think we could potentially unanimously agree upon that.
I'll second that.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I didn't hear any. I think I was out of numbers. 5-0. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next item on the agenda
Thanks,
is
Tim.
request approval to proceed to public hearing, the Water and Sewer Master Plan Triennial Update. There's a term I don't hear often, triennial. So your Water and Sewer Master Plan Triennial discussion cleared the room, Linda.
Yes, that's what we like to do.
Congratulations.
Thank
They're
you,
smarter
thank
than
you.
we are.
Good morning, Commissioners. And just to clarify, the briefing paper is correct, but the agenda item is incorrect. Today's just, no action is needed. It's just an informational briefing. We'll come before you 3 times. Again, first as an introduction, and then with a full-blown discussion with request to go to public hearing.
Is that because it's tri, so it's 3 times?
Correct, yes. But today, for the 2 new commissioners, I'd like to introduce Price Wagner with our department. He is our water and sewer and a senior planner within the department. And he has picked up this triennial update from another staff member who's no longer with us and has really carried it over the finish line. It's been many years in the making because of other jurisdictions getting their information to us, as well as the completion of the Freedom Plan was what triggered us to be able to complete this document. It is required by state law under COMAR that we prepare this document every 3 years and submit it to the state. And as a courtesy, we also do it for our municipalities. The county only runs 1 sewer system, and then with MES, the Freedom area, but we only have charge over the Hampstead sewer system and then the water in the Freedom area. The rest of the water and sewer is run by the municipalities themselves. So we do this as a courtesy for them to compile this information and submit it to the state on their behalf. And part of that process is working with the municipalities very closely and updating their sections of this document. And then we work with their planning commission to certify that the information that they have in this document is the information that they want in the document. The balance of the document is then information that we provide and we provide to the state. We work very closely with Maryland Department of the Environment as we prepare this document, so there are no surprises along the way. And just a really brief history, Maryland Department of the Environment used to have 6 months to get back to us on this document. Several years ago in the legislative session, a bill was passed to shorten that time frame to 90 days for approval. So in order to help MDE expedite that approval, as we finish parts of this document, we share that information with them, and then they get back to us to make sure that everything is correct.
He was ready to publicly speak.
He locked himself out.
No offense against you.
I think Eric's sending me a message. They locked me out.
So with that, I will turn it over to Price Wagner, who's just going to give you a brief introduction to this report, and then the next time we see you will be requested to go
If
to
we had
public
charter,
hearing.
that door would be unlocked.
All right, Price.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. As Linda actually previously said, why are we doing a triennial update to the Water and Sewer Master Plan? It is mandated by the state to do every 3 years. The county updates this document for the county as well as for the municipalities we have. And then also, in order for a project to be permitted by MDE, it must be listed in the Water and Sewer Master Plan. So we've got a couple major changes in this plan. The biggest one is the Freedom Community Comprehensive Plan, which was adopted in October of this year. So some of those properties, in order for the water and sewer plan to work with what the future land use in Freedom was proposed and adopted, some properties had to go from priority to future or long range in order for properties that are already to have availability and ability to be developed at this time be moved into the priority service area. So those are the biggest changes, and you'll see a map in a minute that shows the new long-range plans for the water and sewer in the Freedom area. Also, the City of Westminster adopted a policy for water and sewer allocation back in March of 2018, which placed 70% of new allocation in the commercial and industrial development. In essence, what they've said is all their allocation they want to do commercial and industrial. They set aside roughly one new house within the city limits and one new house outside the city limits that can be attached to water and sewer. So that is really
per year, correct.
Per year, correct. So that is, I believe, 2024 is when they may look at it again to see if they're able to increase the amount of residential that can go.
They could also, my understanding is, if they get additional water, they can look at that
correct.
again well before the 2024.
I believe that is correct, yes.
Okay.
And that's one of the things they're ongoing with this new allocation is they're still obviously looking for more water possibilities. And also, all amendments that have been approved to the 2014 Water and Sewer Master Plan are incorporated with this. So this is an ongoing document. So anything that has been done has been implemented into this document and help move it along. So these are the planned water and sewer service areas now as we are proposing for the triennial update. Of course, here's the Freedom area, which, as you can be able to tell, this is these properties are long range, and these properties have been now in future. The properties that were along this along this area here and here were previously in future or long range, and they have been taken out to incorporate some of these other new properties that need the water allocation, water and sewer allocation, which is up in this area around here. Of course, these properties are the biggest ones that were added, as well as this area here and this area here. So it's just reallocating what we have out there to areas that may not be in the process of any development anytime soon within the time plan. So what we have as existing is obviously what's being used today. Priority is 0 to 7 years, or 6 years, I'm sorry. And then future is from 7 years to 10 years. So this is roughly a 10-year timeline we have. And it's it all just coincides with each other and accumulates. So everything that is in the existing flows into priority, flows into the future. So all those numbers accumulate.
Question for you. The area just east of 97, north of 26, that you pointed to. Is that near the high school? Is that where we're looking?
This area.
No,
No,
north,
up
north,
here.
north, north.
North.
Up there.
North.
Oh, up this area?
Yeah, that light blue.
That's north of it, just
Yes.
Correct.
behind
Yes.
the school.
Behind the high
So
school,
that is the area just north of the high
Correct.
school, that property?
Correct.
correct, yes.
Yes, I apologize.
Century
Yes,
and
Century
Lake
High
Springs,
School, yes.
correct.
Okay. Okay.
I'm missing something. What's the difference between the blue and the green?
Blue is the Freedom, is the water service area, and the green is the sewer service area. So.
Shouldn't it be brown?
That was a better answer, I gotta tell you.
When we take a property, because you said we took, some properties were taken out of the future and taken off completely, do we, I guess we notify the property owners, or they have any
So,
objections and stuff like
properties
that?
were not moved from service to no plan service. They were moved from priority to long range. And those properties have already been developed, and we have no plans to extend
Okay.
water and sewer lines to them. As you recall with the Freedom Plan, part of that discussion was we were also reserving 20% in case there was a reason that the county would have to extend any water and
Right.
sewer lines because of failing septic in those areas. But many of those communities have been long established. So basically, until the county were to put a project in to extend water and sewer, we are reserving that capacity for some indefinite future date and time, as opposed to being able to serve newer communities that could be able to come in to the Freedom area.
So, yeah, again, just for my clarification, that property north of Century High School, I'm very interested in that. What changes have taken place in the shading? I mean, did it go from a
It was
lower-
nothing,
Correct.
It was not, so from
no
nothing
plan service,
to now a priority,
correct.
and the priority is the timeliness of getting it in place is what?
So again, the developer would extend the water and sewer lines.
It's available to them.
Correct.
Okay.
So this plan just enables that to be able to happen, so they can
Okay.
get the permitting then. Because MDE will go back and look at this plan and say, well, you're in no plan service, you can't extend the lines, even though they're right there.
Which now makes it more marketable.
Correct.
Correct.
Got
So
it.
as soon as this,
That's good.
and not
Okay.
to get ahead of this, but
Yeah.
even though you all adopt this plan, it is not official until MDE gives its final stamp of approval. And they could come back with some suggested
Okay.
changes
Okay.
in the future.
Yeah, so the way to look at it is, when we say priority, it's, the water is there. We have it, so whenever the developer's able to come in and they hook the lines up, the
Right.
water is there, or the sewer capacity is there for them to hook up
Right.
right then and there and able to move forward.
Okay, good. It's good news.
I did spend time reading this somewhat. Much of it's interesting, Bryce. You did a great job
Thank
of
you.
putting this together. I just want to
Thank you.
comment on that. It was easy to follow.
Thank you.
And I just want to comment, it was, I didn't have a whole lot of heartache in it that I know about, but it really was well put together.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So as Linda said, this is sort of just a quick briefing of what we're coming to do. The next step would be a discussion and deliberation, and then, of course, request to schedule a public hearing for the public to hear this. Once we have the public hearing, then we'll do a schedule for the board to hopefully adopt the triennial update. Once the update is adopted, we'll move that on to MDE, and they have the final say. So until MDE gives their final letter, the 2014 plan will still be in play, but until we get the MDE final letter saying the triennial update is good and is ready to move forward, then that's when this new document will come into play.
And just for our new commissioners as well, we process amendments twice a year, and even though this plan is in process with MDE, we can still have the ability to process an amendment. So if something were to come up from one of our municipalities in the meantime that they needed something put forward to not slow their process down, we would process an amendment for them in the meantime.
So I apologize, I may have been out of the room if you hit this and went off of it, but the Pleasant Valley area
Yes.
and the Bark Hill area.
Yes.
What are the parameters surrounding extending there if it's ever needed?
That, to my knowledge, there is no plan in it right now. I'll get more into that next time, but from what I
Okay.
remember, there is no plan. I know especially for Pleasant Valley, and I think even for Bark Hill, there is no plan to extend. So
Okay.
what's on the ground today is what
What,
they're able to
Is
do.
what they
what it
have.
can be, and
Correct.
you don't, in other words, you don't see any ability to be able to extend based on what water we have in those two particular areas.
We'll look into that more, and we'll get into more detail about that, because we do
Okay.
have the numbers, and we can tell you a little bit about some of the potential that could happen.
Okay, I know there are two areas that could extend a little, and not, you know,
Sure.
I'm not talking like a subdivision of 50 homes. Obviously, neither of those two areas could do that.
Right, and
But,
Bark Hill's just water, but
Right.
Pleasant Valley is water and sewer. Not to
Right.
get into all the nuances of this, but it is a designated rural village as well,
Right.
which is recognized as part of that priority funding area bucket, but it's not a full-fledged priority funding area. And what that means was a rural village designation under the state laws. You cannot expand really beyond the rural village. So within the confines of the rural village, if something's not served, if the numbers work out, there could be some potential to serve, but part of the rural village is you can't expand unless we wanted to make it a full-blown, quote-unquote, priority funding area,
Okay.
which, you know, would have to be an action by the board.
and along that theme, suppose there was the ability at some point, and, you know, insert the previous Union Mills Reservoir talk here, but suppose the rural village of Silver Run or Union Mills needed to get to a place where they had to do the water and sewer there. Where does that come into play when you're doing these reports?
Right, so yes, so that would actually have to be part of a triennial update. That's well beyond the scope of an amendment.
Okay.
And we would work very closely with MDE. I think one of the biggest challenges would be being allowed to withdraw water and getting that permit from MDE, and then more importantly, discharging any effluent from any type of sewer treatment plant would be the biggest things. We would have to figure out the allocation that would be involved
Okay.
with our permitting process.
Okay. Yeah, not that I'm suggesting that that's going to happen, but, you know, I've got, I don't know how many rural
Yep.
villages in my district.
Yes.
And there's always that challenge for some, in some pockets in those villages to get the right water, and more specifically the sewer, because that's a problem in a lot of those areas as well.
Rural villages are very tricky because a lot of them developed as crossroad communities. There's some, actually more than some, there's a lot of commercial and industrial type of development, and there's actually a lot of density on the home sites that really don't sustain sometimes long-term septic usage. They're small lots, a half acre, quarter of an acre, very close together. So it's not surprising that there will be potential future issues
Okay.
with septic in those areas, and we need to think a little bit more about
Okay.
how we proceed forward.
I just
in the
don't want to get
future.
that lost in
Nope.
translation, and then we're like, oh my gosh, we should have put that in the report. So,
No,
you know,
no,
so, okay.
no.
Right, that would be creating a whole new system.
That's a whole
Well,
nother
I understand that, but in the
process.
future, no, I got that. I just, you know, you got to keep that in the back of your mind as you're looking at these things,
Absolutely. I mean,
because
those-
we've got a ton of that going on already. I got a call again yesterday for one of the rural villages, and there's, you know, a septic issue, so.
And we've had that
so-
experience in Limeboro.
Right.
As well, and then Finksburg, as you know,
Yeah.
and we've done the sewer studies, and I think those would be some of the first things is commissioning. If there's some problematic areas within these rural villages, commissioning a sewer study to see what the failing septic percentage is, and that's something we've done with the health department several times
Right.
in the past. So we would just look to work with them to do that as well and kind of assess the need.
Okay.
The reason I mentioned this is because, as Linda alluded to, you have to go through all the MPD.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that's-
this would be the easy part, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
we got this,
I-
but it's the other hurdles
Yeah,
that we
that's,
would need
that's
to
a,
jump.
it's a lovely group of people.
I know, but good to be thinking of the rest.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you all so much.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day.
Yep.
Glad we could
Okay.
clear the room for you.
Okay. Next on our agenda is the beginning of our agency presentations. And for our thousands of listeners and viewers right now, this is something that we attempted to do. We didn't attempt, we did it How many years ago, Dennis, we started that? 2, maybe 3? Did we do it out of the gate?
Yeah, we
14?
did.
Did we?
We did.
Okay. But this gives us an opportunity to hear what's going on with those agencies, specifically with the ones in which we provide some funding
Right.
for. So, y'all got 15 minutes, and we're gonna ring a bell when you're at 15.1. Got that, Mike?
Or a big hook comes out of it.
Okay. Then the last 10 would be done out in the hall.
All right, so this morning we're going to hear from 5 of our agencies. And first up is Access Carroll. And the executive director, Tammy Black, is here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Got some handouts.
Free gifts.
Free gifts, yeah.
Oh, free pens.
Yeah, they, I
perks
think
of this office
Commissioner
are
Wentz, you
unbelievable.
may have gotten one, I don't know if you did or not, but it was from our
I may
open
have,
house.
yes.
So
I
you have
did.
another one. These are the
Thank
kind
you.
that light up, they shine a light in the dark, you know?
I need all the help I can get in the dark.
Sometimes we feel like we're in the dark.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. It's a short presentation in case you have questions, and I didn't provide this on handout, but I have the brochure of our services on handout. So, just a quick snapshot about us. We are a community-based health center. We were founded in 2004, but opened in 2005. Starting out with just primary care. Now today we're fully medical, dental, and behavioral health integrated. We are a private nonprofit. We are located in the Distillery building. We do serve a little over 99% of all of our patients live in Carroll County, the majority of which also went to school here. That's always a question. So just so you know, we do keep statistics on who we're serving. We're open full-time now, 7 days a week. That started November the 11th, 2017. So we just had our 1-year anniversary of that just 2 months ago. But there's our hours. Monday through Thursday, we're 8 to 8. Fridays, 8 to 5. Weekends, 9 to 1. And the weekends are really set aside for acute care and detox services. We also serve, just in case folks didn't realize this, the drug treatment court programs and the detention center clients. We serve those folks there with intensive outpatient services, as well as a whole myriad of behavioral health care and medical care for drug treatment court. For the hybrid staffing model, we do have, it's very important that you all know, we have paid in-kind and volunteer staff who comprise our everyday operations. Usually between 35 or so folks are on site every day providing direct care, and a combination of all 3 of those different types of staff. And we do have a very large professional student program as well. And we do serve approximately 70 dentists, dental students each year, and then wrapped around that then are another 80 or so students, and I do have that data for you. Our strategic partners are the hospital, the health department, and the Partnership for a Healthier Carroll County, and they've been our partners since inception, so they just continue to be there, keeping a pulse on the community's needs. I'm not going to read all this, it's just there for your reference, our integrated services, and they are in the brochure as well. A couple of quick highlights from calendar year, actually, I beg your pardon, that should say fiscal year. I have some calendar year statistics as well. It actually is a huge bump up. But from fiscal year 2018, we had just over 17,000 encounters or visits. We brought in 1,300 new patients. We served almost 10,000 individuals. And because it's of interest right now in our community, we did bring in 97 patients to detox them, which seems like a small number, but it's actually a big number. And we have served 508 individuals concerning their long-term medication management of opioids or alcoholism addiction.
Do you have, from last year and the year before, like doing a trends analysis on where your services are most like increasing populations and where you may need to change your resources in those areas?
We do. I keep pretty tight statistics.
Right.
Also, what drives our services that we offer are community needs assessments. So,
Right.
in combination with our areas of growth,
Right.
a lot of it is driven by the
Okay.
by the latter, which is the community needs assessment. But
Okay.
we've really bolstered our behavioral health services because
Right.
of, number one, the HOPE Act. That was legislation that happened January 1st, 2018.
Okay.
All hospitals in the state must now provide an outpatient referral or resource to
Mhm.
anybody presenting with an addiction that was maybe recovered through naloxone or Narcan. So we are that direct provider
Okay.
to satisfy that need. So, but I can give you lots of data if you'd like that.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, and as far as case management, that's always an interest. We provided over 3,000 this past year on case management. That's a big need. Our patients, you can give somebody a prescription or get a diagnostic study done, but at the end of the day, most of our folks need case management. So we do a lot of that at our office. This is something that's in my report that's being presented to the commissioners, I believe from Christine Kay's department from Citizen Services. And just to give you a snapshot of our volunteer profile, this is done through calendar years. That's why there's some mix between fiscal and calendars. And this is a federal government reporting that we also give on volunteerism. So in 17, which crossed over into fiscal year 18, of course, we had 7,663 volunteer hours from 162 individuals. But we also had a large number of professional students, and I've broken them out by type. We have clinical, medical, and behavioral health students, hygienists, which is a whole different subcategory under dental, and then the actual dentists who do their 4th year services at our office in preparation of their graduation so they can start their own practices. Many of them don't go into residency programs, so we serve as that site to give them hands-on, full comprehensive patient care. So in total, we had over 13,000 combined volunteer and student hours, and that's beyond paid staff. So that's a pretty big deal between among 290 people. A quick financial snapshot. Our budget in fiscal year 18 was almost 1.4 million. We had over $1 million in in-kind services, 301,000 in pharmaceuticals donated to the office. But our fiscal year 19 budget is almost 1.9 million, and that is because of some changes with our in-kind staffing that now Access Care is actually paying for. The county has been giving us flat funding for 6 years now, and that's $20,000 a year, approximately 1.4% of our budget. Some major accomplishments, just so you know, we are a LabCorp site as well, a draw center, and we do have a strong partnership I referenced earlier with the hospital concerning the HOPE Act and satisfying some of our local community needs for our constituents to have access to 7-day-a-week detox services. We were featured, and some of you guys are aware of this, that the Lieutenant Governor came out to the office with some staff from the Maryland Department of Health. On November the 15th, we were the featured clinic in the whole state for Rural Health Day, which is kind of a cool thing. Surprised me, but it was an honor. And I'm really pleased to announce today that we have achieved our Joint Commission accreditation. It's a preliminary letter they've given us. They get our gold seal. It comes in about February. But just so you all know, the Joint Commission is the highest, most rigorous regulating and accrediting body in the country over healthcare facilities, mostly hospitals. So we are held to the same rigors as any hospital system that you might visit today in Maryland. And that's a pretty big deal. I know they're not here today, but I want to thank the facilities team of the Carroll County government. They've been amazing to work with. I'm so grateful for their partnership. Doug Lindsay, Justin, the whole team. I call them, we've worked together to make sure that our environment of care reporting, statistics, and so forth have been absolutely on par with the Joint Commission standards. So,
Although not understanding everything what you said in order to get to that status, congratulations to you and your team in making that happen. So
Thank you.
That's fantastic.
Thank you. It was almost 2 years of work preparing for it. I mean, it's no small feat.
Absolutely.
So, thank you. Not to belabor the things you probably already know, but I just have it in writing. We are really narrowly focused on our community's health and wellness. So if something rises up, even overnight, we are generally brought in at the table to see what we can do to help address those needs. We are built, served, wired to serve this community and our community's needs. So concerning health, the opioid epidemic, of course, is a big area. expanding Medicare services for not only veterans, but for our Medicare aging population in Carroll County, our disabled residents in Carroll County. Dental services continue to be a huge area of need, and Access Carroll is addressing those, I believe, very effectively. We are diverting a lot of unnecessary and avoidable high-cost emergency room visits and other episodic and unplanned care visits. We're pulling those things together. Greatest needs, of course, are behavioral health, chronic disease care, extractions and dentures, medical case management, and medical respite, which I had presented on just recently. Some of our goals, of course, include those things, comprise those things. We are also looking at information and technology advancements that we really need to keep up with the pace of healthcare. And of course, strengthening our existing and new community partnerships. I don't want to duplicate resources. I want to stretch what's already there. And that's one of my big personal professional goals, is to make sure that we are really using what we have in place and using it to the best of our ability without duplicating things unnecessarily. That's all I have.
Just one thing, no matter where we go in the state, Access Carroll is put up as a model. You have done a great job of advertising. You've done a great job of getting the word out. I do have one question for you.
Okay.
And Commissioner Fraser has brought this up several times. Sometimes in the opioid or drug addiction, we have those gaps. 3 or 4 days or a week to get into the next level where people fall through the cracks at that time. Do you experience that, and what do you do to alleviate some of those problems?
So a lot of that has to do with, again, tied around the HOPE Act. And Access Carroll is open 7 days a week. We can do both substance use disorder assessments with our behavioral health team, or we can actually talk to the person or begin detox services. We do have a pretty heavy, comparatively heavy weekend intake time. We'd like to expand that more. So you're right, there are still gaps that we're hearing about. When they come to Access Carroll's attention, we try to address them within 24 hours. So we're pretty quick on that. Our staff, our integrated staff, have multiple ways that we can reach out to both the client and the family. But we really work heavily with our community partners. So if a community partner were to call us inside, if you or email us, we have a person who needs services now. We can address them usually same day. So I think the biggest gap that we're facing are patients who may not be eligible for ambulatory detox services. Those are the folks who may be long-term alcoholics or have other severe comorbidities that are complicating having what we call outpatient or ambulatory care. They need residential treatment. And you're right, that's a huge waiting list. That's a problem in the state, it's a problem in Carroll County. We don't have enough inpatient beds to get people into those 30-day residential treatment programs and so forth. We do work with those organizations, and the ones that are in existence do communicate with us regularly when they have open beds. They'll send us internal emails so that we know, so we can get somebody into those beds, into placement if needed. But that is an ongoing problem, and I know that the health department is very strongly committed to filling in those gaps and encouraging providers in those areas.
Ms. Black, could you go back, I believe it's 2 screens, I think it was 1 in 5 mental health, yeah, that's in 1 in 10. Is that saying that 1/5 of the county's population has a mental health issue and 10% has a substance abuse disorder?
That's what it's saying.
They are staggering numbers. You have a tremendous lot of work to do. And I commend you on what you're doing, but this is such a monumental task to take on. That's a staggering reality to look at that. And that's what we as a community are facing.
That's what we're facing.
So I really appreciate all the hard work that you and your staff are doing on this, and I wish we could do more to help. As everyone here knows, the whole opioid epidemic has affected my family and tremendous amount of families all over this county. So I'm very, very grateful for what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, and you're welcome. Those statistics, by the way, are from the Maryland Department of Health.
It puts it in perspective what we collectively are facing here in our society.
Yeah, it's interesting when you see the numbers. That really gives it.
Yes, that's sobering numbers to look at.
And the other numbers that were very impressive are the number of volunteer hours that are occurring out there as well. That's just, don't let that be glossed over. It is unbelievable out there, and I had the opportunity to talk to a lot of those volunteers the day of the anniversary, and it was incredible. And Dick, I will echo what you said, and Ed as well. Not only are they put up across the state, but when Senator Ben Cardin was there, he sat there with his mouth open and couldn't believe, you know, what you have achieved at Access Carroll. So
And the quality.
Yeah. So, you know, you're making strides not only in the state, in the county and the state, but also in at the federal level. So, well done. Any other questions for Tammy?
Just like to make a comment. Thank you for everything that Access Herald does. I know several people have used your services and are very, very grateful that you're there. Because if you're not, I don't know where they would have gone. Thank you.
Yep.
Yep, thank you.
Okay.
And I'll just say again, if you ever want any other data, just send me an email and I can get it right out.
Okay. Thanks, Tammy. All right. Next up is Rape Crisis, and the director, Janice Kispert, is here. Janice, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning. Thank you.
Hi, Janice. How are you? Hi.
Good morning, thank you. I appreciate that.
Good morning.
Morning.
Looks like you don't want us to walk in high heels.
Just saying.
You like your ankles?
Okay. Well, good morning on this very chilly, windy day. My name is Janice Kispert. I'm CEO of Rape Crisis Intervention Service, and I have a short overview of our services. And first of all, I'd like to extend my deepest appreciation to the commissioners for their funding and continued support for Rape Crisis. We've been around over 40 years, and we are a single office in Carroll County, so we're strictly Carroll County based. We serve folks in Carroll County who need our help, and we provide services to victims of sexual violence. We also offer prevention, intervention, treatment, and advocacy for victims. So we help out with mental health needs as well. So it's very important that you know, we all work together, as Tammy mentioned. Our services are provided by paid staff, and we use volunteers as well. We have a 24-hour hotline. We provide accompaniments to court, police, and hospital. Oops. Sorry about that. With your generous funding, your support is there to provide a community educator from Rape Crisis who provides sexual assault prevention education to the middle schools and high schools in Carroll County. Just to give you an idea of the last school year, middle school presentations 186, high school presentations 72, with a total of close to 6,000 students hearing our message.
What do you mean by presentation?
That's going in, that's each class.
To a
class.
separate class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
Total hours of presentations, 231. Face-to-face crisis interventions. So that's when a student discloses that there has been a sexual assault or someone they know. So that's 43. So that's 43 students that we were able to directly impact. Anonymous disclosures, 167. So how we get the anonymous disclosures is at the end of the presentation, our community educator passes out a slip of paper to the students, and it gives them the opportunity to write down maybe something they learned during the presentation, but it's also an avenue for them to disclose if something has happened. And if they want us to reach out to them, they can indicate that as well. And our community educator will stay after class to meet with anyone that needs help. They're also given information about our services, including our 24-hour hotline.
Ms. Kispert, on the previous page, I noticed there's more presentations to middle school than high school. Is that an implemented strategy that produces a better result, or is there a methodology behind that?
It's the number of classes.
Okay.
With the high schools, we're in the health classes. So Health 1 is a class, and then Health 2, my understanding is that's an elective. So we're not going to reach as many children, but hopefully by the time they get to high school, they've already heard our presentation in middle school, and they're aware of our services. So the presentation is a little bit different for the different age levels.
All right, I was wondering, because I know with the opioid crisis, a lot of talk has been emphasizing reaching middle school students. And I was
Correct.
wondering if that's being emphasized in this as well.
Exactly. We work with all of the middle schools, and now this current school year, we are 100% in all of the schools, where it's taken us a little time to work our way up to that.
Good.
And here's the topics, to give you some examples in 6th grade. Creating safe and healthy boundaries. And by the way, all of our presentations are approved by the school system. We work with them to come up with the topics that they feel are critical. In the 7th grade, we talk about sexual harassment. And in the 8th grade, dating shouldn't hurt. And it's amazing how many students, this is the first time they've heard about things that aren't normal and shouldn't be, and it's a real eye-opener for them. In the high schools, Health 1, dating and sexual violence, and in Health 2, rape myths and rape culture. And it's astonishing, the rape culture that's out there that we don't realize in videos, movies, TV, ads, and it brings awareness to the children and creates an understanding of rape culture, which is critical. In the middle schools, we had, as we mentioned, 89 disclosures, and here's just a sample of some of the things that they're telling us. When I was a little younger, about 2, my mom was sexually abused by my biological father. I had a friend of mine got raped by her uncle, and she has really struggled. So again, this gives them an opportunity to disclose and talk about things they really have no one else to talk to about. High school, 78 disclosures. I was sexually assaulted and got an eating disorder from it. So this may be the first time this child's had an opportunity to tell someone they were sexually assaulted. My friend told me yesterday that she was raped in 6th grade. I don't know how, now I know how to comfort her. Just to give you an overview, services provided, as you can see, we've had a spike in total units of service from just last year to from the previous years. We individuals served, last year we served 318 hotline calls, over 1,000 hotline calls. So the hotline calls that come into us, really in all reality, they could have been, if it weren't for us, possibly going to 911 or folks just showing up at the hospital, but they feel free to call our confidential hotline. They know that we will get them immediate help. They speak to a live person, and they know the resources are there for them. Units of service, almost 1,500.
I mean, the numbers are, you know, from 16 to 18. Is it because you have more resources or create more resources to capture the
Correct,
information?
as in going into the schools.
It's
We
because
just
of the
started,
school
we
intervention.
went into the schools years ago and funding was cut.
Right.
And then through a generous grant through the commissioners, we were able to get back into the schools. So that's been in recent years.
And that shows it.
Exactly.
What's a unit of service?
That could be a hotline call, that could be somebody walking in the office, so it's.
Because, well, then the numbers don't add up, that's why I went through them in my head first.
Well, it could be different. Individuals served, that's unique individuals coming in, that's not double counted. Hotline calls, you could have one person have 5 hotline calls. And donations, just to give you an idea of our fiscal picture, we did see a drop in donations last year versus the year before, just to give you an idea. Donations have dropped. I've been there over 12 years, and I've noticed a huge drop in donations, and that's individuals writing checks to us. That's, you know, civic groups, etc. So we have seen almost a 30% drop from the previous year with our donations for last fiscal year.
Do you have any indication of why that's taken place?
Well, I think you look at the nation and all of the natural catastrophes that happen. You look at the county, there's a lot of capital campaigns going on. We had the hospital, et cetera.
So you're fighting over X amount of dollars.
Exactly. More nonprofits, and so again, I've lived in this county over 45 years, and we never had this many nonprofits years ago. So it is, unfortunately, a slight competition. You have only so much discretionary income, and if it weren't for the county helping us, we couldn't exist. And just to give you an idea, Walk a Mile coming up. Commissioner, get your shoes ready.
Still have them.
April 13th, I challenge all of you to participate in our men's walk. Take a stand against sexual violence, and we have a new route this year, so we're going to start and finish at City Park, so that should be an improvement. You don't have to walk a mile back to get to your car.
I personally prefer flats.
I'll let you slide. You're good. You're good. So we will open our registration very soon for that. So that's one of our, not only a fundraising event, but it's a big prevention awareness event. And it gives men and women an opportunity to take a stand against sexual violence.
I will tell you, 4 years ago, you gave us an education of what rape crisis was all about, and I've seen the results of what you do in schools, and you need to be commended for what you do and the way you do it. We don't hear about it, and we shouldn't, but I just thank you for what you do. It's a tremendous service to the ladies in the community and perhaps some of the young men, too.
Exactly. Great.
So.
Well, thank you so much. And again, we appreciate all your continued support. We couldn't provide our services to our citizens without your support.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Janice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Change Incorporated, and the CEO is here with us, Mr. Mike Shriver.
You got that guy down here?
Yeah, well, the guy.
I paid my dues.
And he brought backup.
I see that. Hi, Mike. Okay.
Hey. Good to see you again.
Well, Commissioners, good morning and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Same to you, thank you.
As mentioned, my name is Mike Shriver. I'm the CEO of Change Incorporated. And with me today is Jennifer Metrick, our Director of Operations. So we're going to do a little tag team. Today, what we want to do at a very high level is provide you with our key strategies, transformation of how we are going to provide supports to people that we serve going forward, what that transformation looks like, and how what our key performance metrics look like. Everything we do at Change is influenced by our vision. In fiscal year 2018, we went through an update, a revision of our vision statement to what you see here today. The focus is on providing self-directed supports and facilitating people's ability to discover their potential and direct their own lives. Some current data points just to share with you at a high level. We currently support 160 individuals from 4 counties, Carroll, Baltimore, Howard, and Frederick counties. 92% of those individuals are from Carroll County. As you can see, the lion's share of our team work in day and personal supports. Over the past 4 years, we've made significant progress in creating financial stability and sustainability at Change. We've secured new and additional revenue sources to support current and new initiatives, such as Disconnected Youth Initiative through the local management board and an enhanced doors contract. we've successfully raised significant grant funds from foundations, community development block grant funds, as well as corporations to support a variety of initiatives, including the fact that we've bought 10 new vehicles in the past 3 years, our team development and credentialing focus, renovations on the Respite Inn, enhancements to the outdoor space at Stoner Avenue, a new HVAC and lighting system at Stoner Avenue, and soon a new roof, a new technology platform and network. In fact, we have just finished our strongest year yet financially as an organization. On slide 4, you'll see that in 2008, we refreshed our strategic plan. We keep our strategic plan very, very succinct and very direct. It's simple. We're focusing right now on 3 key strategic initiatives that are listed there. Number 1 is ensuring the fulfillment of our mission, sustainability of change, and scalability of the supports that we provide, keeping it simple. Recruiting and developing and retaining teammates who will support the fulfillment not only of our vision, but of our mission. Providing our teammates with the tools and technology, processes, and protocols to perform flawlessly in achieving our mission and implementing the transformation that meets the spirit and intent of the community settings rule. Nothing tells a story like photographs, and these are the faces of change. I'm going to invite Jennifer to take over the next 4 slides and to talk you through the transformation at change.
So we really wanted to start our transformation efforts by looking at how we're delivering services. And so we wanted to be able to change. We realized early on that we needed to change from more of a programmatic-centric model to one that really puts the individual, their family members, their natural supports in the driver's seat. And so we wanted to be able to offer a service array where they're choosing and selecting the kinds of supports that are based on their unique needs and their idea of what their good life is and how they want to connect with their communities. And so we knew we had a huge journey ahead of us to be able to change mindset, to completely change our service delivery model. So we looked for every opportunity possible to search out technical assistance opportunities. The state of Maryland through DDA has been incredible partners to us in offering many opportunities. We were able to be one of the first 6 agencies across the state to participate in an ODEP technical assistance grant. That helped us to really look at our employment supports and looking at something that was a different way to provide individualized competitive employment opportunities for people. We built on those through other opportunities, through the TIP grant, which was through the DD Council and Maryland Works. And then one of the pivotal points was when we were able to go to the Leadership Institute that's run by the University of Delaware. And this has been an institute, it's a week-long intensive institute that has been around for about 30 years. And DDA actually paid for providers to attend this. And we were able to go as a leadership team together, and that's where we were able to figure out how are we going to change our supports to this individualized model. And what we mean by individualized supports, we want to be able to provide supports where somebody lives, when they want them, how they want them. Traditionally, supports, we've developed those. We've developed programs. We fit people into those programs. We're not able to meet everybody's individualized needs by doing that. And so that's why we want every person to be able to live a day like you and I do, but with supports. And so what we came up with was the concept of geographic support teams. And so these are support teams, staff that are supporting people in specific areas. So we can start helping people connect with their specific communities and be able to make those natural supports. So instead of bringing everybody to a centralized location in Westminster, if you live in Mount Airy, wouldn't it be great if you could make those community connections every day, either through employment or social groups, things of that nature, even knowing your local barista at Starbucks in Mount Airy instead of Westminster. So we're not there yet. We started 4 days ago, very successfully, organizing our teams into these geographic teams, one person at a time with their families, with their natural supports, will help to create more individualized supports for each person. This could take us several years. So things are going to take some time. It's a marathon, we say, not a sprint, but we're moving in that direction, and we now have the infrastructure to be able to do so. So Mike's going to talk about how this actually impacts several of the individuals where we've been able to successfully create individualized supports.
So what does the transformation of our supports look like? You saw in the previous slide that, I mean, our traditional model has been program areas. So you either were in day program, or you were in the senior program, or you were in supported employment, or one of the other programs that we offer. Supports going forward are going to be about health and wellness, employment, recreation, advocating for yourself, and in-home supports, among a few others. So what do these supports look like? So when you ask Derek why employment is important to him, what he's going to quickly share with you is, number one, I want to make money. Number two, I want to be independent. I like helping people, being successful, finding my purpose, and doing something interesting that I like. Supports that we provide can come in many shapes, sizes, and forms. They are not a one-size-fits-all approach. Jeannie is a perfect example of that. The next few slides are an example of a process that we utilize called discovery. It enables an individual to discover what they envision as their good life. As you can see from Jeannie's bio, she is an artist. She loves musicals. She adores her O's and Christmas. And she loves her life. Like many of us, Jeannie has many interests and hobbies. She's very active and wants to enjoy being engaged in her community. While Jeannie has many interests, I can tell you that at the top of her list are Mark Harmon and NCIS. She plans to marry Mark, by the way.
She writes some letters.
I got to tell you a real quick funny story. She stopped by my office right before Christmas, and she said, you know what would be a great Christmas present, Mike? And I said, what's that? She said, you get Mark Harmon to come and visit us.
She sounds happier than being a county commissioner.
She likes art, and more art. She likes it quiet, and she does like to speak her mind. These are the people that are in Jeannie's life that are important to her. Does this look familiar to you? If we each developed our own relationship map, it would look very similar. People who are in Jeannie's relationship map help her discover the many aspects of what she determines to be her meaningful life and her meaningful day. At the core of transformation of our supports for people with disabilities is their ideal schedule, not the schedule that we think is that they would enjoy. This is a sample of one schedule that Jeannie created with her quality coordinator and her support team. And I want to draw your attention to 3 days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's a theme there. It should pop out at you. It's art. During Jeannie's discovery process, she shared with us that she wanted to launch her own art business. Art is part of Jeannie's good life. She wanted to be self-employed. She doesn't want to come to the day program. She wants to do art. So nearly a year later, after this discovery process, Jeannie is self-employed. Jeannie launched her own business. She is the famous artist. She's exhibited her artwork at several shows and submitted it for competitions, and she's been commissioned by several people to create artwork for them.
I'm in agreement with her on Wednesday. I would like to work just one day a week.
Why not?
Is that a motion?
Yeah, that's a motion.
So moved. Our performance data provides an insight to our past year, and it's very high level. But we've got 20 individuals who are independently employed currently. One, as I mentioned earlier, Jeannie, who's self-employed. Our Disconnected Youth Initiative through the local management board is supporting 6 youth locally. And we're very excited that we've expanded our reach of this initiative through a partnership with Youth Services Bureau. 90% of the individuals we support indicated that they are satisfied with the supports that we provide. And our staff retention rate thus far in fiscal year 2019 is at 80%. I wanted to highlight the diversity and the extent of our partnership with the Carroll County Commissioners. Our partnership goes well beyond the tremendous financial support you provide Change each year. As you can see, we are the beneficiaries of many of the county departments and teams, each of which provide invaluable support and resources which aid in our success as an organization. We want to thank the Carroll County Board of Commissioners for your wonderful support of Change. We appreciate your valuable partnership. You are a key partner in the first of our 3 strategic initiatives to achieve our mission and vision and creating sustainability for change. We're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, I just real quick, again, applaud you like the others we've been hearing on the selfless work that you're doing in taking care of our community. I used to be a special ed teacher, and this is, you know, very reminiscent of developing an IEP or IHP focused on that individual, and that's what you're doing. You're putting them in the middle and providing the services that benefit them most. So I really do appreciate that focus.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mike, hold that up. That was given to him the first day on the job here, so the colonel will appreciate that.
May 15, 2015. I have not been to a meeting yet without it, for fear of repercussion.
Just don't take the bar.
But for the record, he said that, not me, the repercussion part. Okay, that was Weaver, the plants. So.
A year ago, you mentioned, I think you were having trouble meeting the state standards for the amount of time a client had to be out into the community. Is that changed, gotten better or worse? What have you done?
I would say it's gotten better. And the reason it's gotten better is because of our decision as an organization to create a community-based individual support model, which is what we just talked about. That's
what it looked like.
Yep.
You overcame that challenge.
Yep. It's an ongoing challenge, Commissioner Weaver. It's something that you know, the state has standards that we've got to respond to, and we're not there yet, but we've made tremendous progress in the past year.
Yeah, first 4 days.
First 4 days.
So, but that will improve, and I commend you for seeing the problem and solving it.
Yeah.
Or will solve it anyway. So.
Okay. Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you both. Thank you both very much. All right. Target and their director, Tom Zerpoli, is here with us this morning. Tom, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Hey, Tom. Good morning.
How we doing?
Mr. Zappoli, you're quite the writer. I enjoy reading you. Pleasure.
Just the facts. I love the short, sweet, and to the point.
All right, yep, that works. Okay, great. So my name is Tom Zappoli. I'm the President and CEO of Target Community and Educational Services. And we are a nonprofit in Carroll County, and our mission is to enhance the lives of individual citizens with disabilities in the community. We work with both children and adults. We have the autism program in Carroll County that we work with the Carroll County Public Schools to serve. We've been incorporated since 1983. This is my 23rd year in this position. We're licensed by Maryland Developmental Disabilities Administration and by the Division of Rehab Services, and we're monitored by the Office of Healthcare Quality. They come and do inspections, et cetera, of our sites. We work with about 300 children and adults with disabilities. A lot of them have related medical and other physical disabilities. And we currently employ about 275 full and part-time people. We have a very unique relationship with McDaniel College. I am the Lawrence J. Adams Endowed Chair in Special Ed at McDaniel College. I coordinate the master's degree in Human Services Management. I am 100% employed by McDaniel College, benefits, salary, everything. I receive zero compensation from Target. I don't get a car, I don't get a bonus, I don't get reimbursed for anything. Target never writes me a check. I'm 100% employed by McDaniel College. There's an endowment, the Lawrence J. Adams Endowment. Larry Adams was the Chief Operating Officer at Lockheed Martin. He endowed a chair. He was on the board at McDaniel to fund this position. And that endowment also funds 22 scholarships for 22 graduate students in the Human Services Management program at McDaniel. All 22 of those graduate students work at Target full-time. They manage our 8 homes. There's 2 per home, and there's also 4 of them that manage our apartment programs. The endowment provides them with a 75% tuition scholarship, and Target pays out of our operating budget a graduate stipend of $23,000 a year. And then we provide room and board because they're living in one of our homes, and also healthcare benefits, et cetera. So it's a very unique relationship. There is not another program like this in the nation. There are a lot of other universities and nonprofits that have tried to establish similar type programs, but none of them, this is very, very unique and very special. We've got some outstanding graduates of this program, by the way. Christine graduated from the program just a few years ago. Just a few years ago. Mike Hardesty graduated from the program. Don Rao graduated from the program. I can go on, but I won't. So our clients age in range from 9 to 80 years old. It's hard to believe, but we have 3 individuals now who are approaching 80, who are either 80 or approaching 80 years old. Their primary diagnosis to get funding licensed by the state must be a developmental or intellectual disability, but a lot of them have a lot of other medical issues, physical disabilities, etc. We are overseen by a board of directors. The board meets quarterly. We have committees that oversee budgets, et cetera, et cetera. We have representatives on the board from all the colleges and the hospital and the Arts Center, all of our partners. If you look at the back of the handout I gave you, it's a sample of the partners that we work with in the community. So we have 275 employees right now. 22 of them are graduate students. I talked about their scholarship and all. I have 14 vice presidents and directors. 12 of them hold the master's degree, went through our program in Human Services Management. And we've talked about how many of them also are working at other agencies right now. We also have a scholarship with Carroll County Community College. We offer full tuition for any CNA at the community college who agrees to work at Target for 20 hours a week while they're going through their program. We'll pay your tuition. We also offer that scholarship to any of our staff who would like to go back to school at the community college. We have other scholarships. Anyone in our agency who wants to go back to school for a degree, we will pay $500 a semester. And if it's for specific things like a CNA, we'll pay your tuition because we want you to be a certified nurse, and that would be great. So we really push education at the community college, at McDaniel, at Stevenson. We have a partnership with Stevenson University. We're very big on education. So Target has 8 homes in Carroll County. We have 3 individuals in each home. That's what we're licensed for. And we have then 2 McDaniel graduate students. The master's degree is a 2-year program. So they're in for 2 years, they graduate. We try to rotate it so that one is a first-year student and one is a second-year student. And then we have a lot of other staff who come and go to work different shifts. We have an apartment program in Montgomery County that serves 14 individuals. They live independently in their own apartment, but I have 4 graduate students who live in that building who keep an eye on them. We do personal supports. We have 24 clients in Carroll County. We provide 5 to 90 hours in their home. It might be they live with their parents. It might be they live independently in their own apartment. It might be they live with another individual who needs services. And then we go and we provide daily support for them, help them with their meals and their bathing and their shopping and all that stuff. Here's one of our newer homes we built in 2003. It is totally accessible, wheelchair accessible. This is right behind Safeway. And this is our home we opened up in 2017. We are replacing all of our homes that were built in the 80s, not very accessible, very narrow hallways, bathrooms. You could not get a wheelchair in the bathroom to save your life. And you can't blow out the bathroom because the bathroom's in the middle of the house. So what we're doing is we're building new homes, we're selling the old home, using the money to help pay for the new home. So this home is right on the intersection between William and Sophia, right down the street from the hospital. This is one view of the home. You can see it has an entire basement apartment for our graduate students. This is the view on the back of the home. You can see it's totally wheelchair accessible. You can see the hallways are 5 feet wide for wheelchairs. We have roll-in showers. It's open concept, so we want our individuals to be able to age in place. We really weren't able to do that in our older homes. Now they can. So we've opened 2 more homes in 2018, and here's one of them under construction. This is on Park Drive, right off of Bond Street. We bought some land there, and there's the other home on Park Drive. So very nice homes. The biggest expense for building those homes was buying water, literally. So that's a whole nother story. So this is an example of our homes that we had in 1980. We still have this home. And what's wrong with that home? Well, it has a bunch of stairs to get to the front door. And then what happens when you open up the front door? It's a split level. You have more stairs. So we're either going to have to replace this home or remodel it. Right now we're thinking that we're going to remodel this home and build a ramp around the back. But these are the kind of homes that were built. They're module homes in the 1980s and just not appropriate for our guys. So we also have a bunch of vocational programs, supportive employment. Our focus of our vocational programs is to get people out in the community and get them jobs. And 50% of our clients have paid jobs in the community. And the rest of them are either doing internships or volunteer work, et cetera. When they're not working, they're in our education program at our site. We also work with Carroll County Public Schools and the ARC of Carroll County with the post-secondary transition program. With that, we provide staff for that program. And then we work with lots of other businesses. We have partnerships with the Boys and Girls Club, with the Public Library, Art Center, Community College, et cetera. We have people all over the place working, or going to school. We have a college program with Carroll Community College where we send a dozen of our individuals to go through a year of college and take courses, et cetera. So we want our guys to be out in the community, either learning or working, et cetera. These are just some. Again, if you look at the back of your page, it has all the places where we have people working or partnerships or doing internships, et cetera. We run the autism program for Carroll County Public Schools, the Autism Waiver Program. We're working with about 36 families in Carroll County who have children with autism. And we help them provide in-home supports or whatever other modifications they might need. So for example, if they have a child who runs away, we can help them secure a fence work with them on parent training, all sorts of things. So, that's a really unique program. There's a 10-year wait for that, to get into that program. It's federal money provided through the state of Maryland, provided to all the states, and then Maryland gives it to, provides us the funding, but there's a 10-year wait. So if you have a child born with autism and it gets diagnosed at 2-3 years old, and you want in-home support services through our program, and we are the only provider of that, because every county has one provider, you're probably going to wait 10 years to get services. The Winchester Country Inn, I don't know if any of y'all have been there. If you haven't, I'd be happy to give you a tour, but that's a property that Target took over in 1987. We received a grant for $250,000 from the Marriott Foundation to renovate that building, and I know the county has a lot of activities there, and we're always glad to lend it out to you. This past year, we just spent $40,000 on a new tin roof, so please, when you come, make sure you look at it and admire it. It's part of our vocational program, so we bring in people to run a tea room there, but they have to hire our clients to work there, and that's how we do that. There's the end. Look at that new shiny roof.
That's good.
Nice roof.
So this is where we get our funding. Our 8 homes bring in 33% of our funding, because that's a 24/7 hour. So it costs about $100,000 per individual living in one of our homes per year. So our vocational services, personal supports department, we do fundraising. We have to raise about $200,000 a year to balance our budget, our autism program, so on and so forth. We use CTS, but we also, because we are out in the community constantly and we have people working, so we have to be on time. We have 50 vehicles of our own. We have 4 wheelchair vehicles. They're very expensive. We spend between $7,000 and $9,000 a year on fuel, or each month, I wish a year, each month just on fuel. So here's our budget. I know I'm not asking for any money today, so I won't. But we have an $8.2 million budget. We've been growing at about 8% a year for the 23 years I've been here. You can see we get about 80% of our money from the state and about 3% from Carroll County. We have a diversity of programs, so you can see we have a nice balanced spread of income there. And we're not going to talk about county funding right now. So we do raise about $200,000. We have a bull rush in the fall, a spring gala in the spring, which is a black tie event. And then we also participate in United Way, and we're always looking for grants, always trying to write grants. We've received several of them over the years, but they're hard to get. And I just thought I'd end with an email I got from a parent just 3 days ago. I'm getting I get these calls and emails all the time. Literally almost every day I get a request for services. But the waiting list in Maryland to live in one of my homes, or a home by the Ark, or a home that Mike has in Flying Colors, there's about 4,000 people on the waiting list in Maryland. About 100 of them live in Carroll County. And none of us are building new homes, as in, I'm building new homes, but just to replace old homes. I'm not adding homes. None of us really are. It's just financially, it's just not financially viable for us to do so, and we can't find staff to cover them. So it's not a good situation. We have a lot of people who need that kind of support, but really none of them we're not really expanding in that area. We are expanding our personal supports programs, we're expanding our vocational programs, but our residential programs, where we're providing 24/7-hour care, is just not financially feasible for us to do that.
What's the answer?
That's a good question. The answer is the state's going to have to make it viable for us to do it. I mean, because, you figure if you have a house and the house is licensed for 3 or 4 people, and each one's bringing in $100,000, okay, that's $300,000 or $400,000. Now you have to run a house 24/7 right? You have to pay insurance, workers' comp. You have to have vehicles. You have to own the house, right? You buy the house or build the house. You have that mortgage. You do the math, and you're losing money on every house. So,
How many students are in the autism Carroll County Public School?
right now there are 36.
36.
There's more 36 students in Carroll County who are in our autism waiver program. In other words, they're getting family supports at home.
Yeah.
Not 36 total children with
No,
autism.
just wondering that.
Yeah.
What is the trending on the amount of clients you have historically? Is it a sharp spike? Is it
So when I
stable?
came
What are we
here
looking at?
23 years ago, we had about 100 individuals, and now we're about 2. But throughout the year, we'll serve about 300 individuals. So we've increased significantly. But what's happened is that we've added more services. We haven't grown this way, we've grown that way. In response to state requirements and regulations, and the state is constantly coming up with new types of support services for individuals, and then we decide, do we want to do that or not? So the vocational services, for example, there's 24 types of vocational services that are supported by the state. We decide which ones we think we can operate successfully and get staff for and be successful at. So,
Do you see an increase in student autism in the near future? Is there any forecasting on that?
well, I think the number of individuals with autism will be about the same percentage, but we're only able to serve 36 of them right now in Carroll County because that's all there's funding for. So every county gets a little bit of money for that. Every family has to get approved by the state to get into the program, and like I said, there's a 10-year waiting list right now.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
the work you do.
Thank you.
Okay, and last but certainly not least for today is Flying Colors of Success and their president, Mike Hardesty.
So you guys get lunch break after I'm done?
You buying?
I don't think that's legal, so, good morning.
Good morning. How's the Jeep, Mike?
It's doing great.
Okay,
It's the
just-
garage
just-
queen, so.
Did you sell a Jeep?
No, he's Mike's sort of
I found
involved
it-
in
I
Mason
found it-
Dixon.
Yeah, I founded the Mason-Dixon Willie's Jeep Gathering, I guess like 11 years ago, because I have an antique Jeep. And
My brother
his
has
brother
one.
has an antique
It's an
Jeep,
obsession.
and, anyhow, we've raised many thousands of dollars and donated it to Union Mills Homestead.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, you guys do a great job. My brother's run out of shelf space for his trophies,
Trophies, yeah,
so
so-
so there's that. So, but by the way, I was there this year. I didn't get a chance to see you, but you always yell at me about I need to get by there, and I was there.
I was in Florida with my elderly.
Oh, okay. Flag on the play.
This was the first year I had a new chairman
Okay.
taking over, so I could get a break. But
Okay.
it's kind of neat when you start an event and you don't know if it's going to be a loser or a success, and that one's taken off. And we
Yeah.
actually donated a lot to
Yeah,
the homestead. So
Good stuff.
But I'm not here
Okay.
to talk to
Yeah,
you
yeah,
about
yeah. I'm
Jeep.
sorry about that. I
We
got
could
you
do
on a-
that at lunch sometime. So I'm going to keep on my schedule right here. Again, I'm Mike Hardesty, not to be confused with the Mike Hardesty at Pupil Transportation for the county, but I do get angry calls every now and then for a bus stop, and I have to tell people, right name, wrong agency. So anyhow, I don't have a PowerPoint presentation. I always like to keep my presentations short and sweet. I've got a one-page bright green information sheet here. I'd like to welcome Eric and Ed, our new commissioners.
Thank you very
I
much.
will be following up with your staff when I leave this room to see about getting you out to visit one of our group homes so you can see firsthand what we do and meet some of the individuals we serve as well as some of our staff. That's gone well in the past, and as much as I'd like to show you a bunch of slides and things like that, I'm going to cut to the chase and get right to the facts. Flying Colors was started in Carroll County in 1991 by Kennedy Krieger Institute, which some of you may be familiar with. Kennedy Krieger got a grant from the State of Maryland Developmental Disability Administration to start some new nonprofit agencies. So we're not affiliated with them. They kind of gave birth to us and kicked us out of the nest, and we've been on our own since 1991 right here in the Westminster area. I've been the executive director for over 25 years now. I left a big agency in Montgomery County to come back home to Carroll County and make a difference in the lives of folks here. We are serving folks just like Change and ARC and Target. You've already heard from Mike Shriver and Tom Zerpoli. Same population. The neat thing about Carroll County is there are a number of choices for citizens with developmental and intellectual disabilities. So you don't have one option, you have 4 options with our agencies. Right now we have a $3.1 million budget. We're a small agency. We have 78 employees. We've actually added a few employees over the past 6 months. In this tough job market, that's a hard thing to do. We have 100% of our services right here in Carroll County. We're not going over the borders anywhere else. So the money that we get from the county commissioners stays here in the county and provides services for folks right here. Right now we have 9 group homes. They're supporting either 3 or 4 individuals with a variety of disabilities. Again, I'm going to extend an invitation for anybody to come out that would like to see that. 29 citizens are served in those homes, and the age range is the early 20s up to 82 years old. So the neat thing that we've found over the years is that when the state closed down institutions and people lived fulfilled lives in the community, they're living longer. It used to be people with Down syndrome or other disabilities would die in their 40s or early 50s, and now we have folks living well into their 70s and into their 80s. One of my friends who we support is on my board of directors, just celebrated his 82nd birthday, which is really, really pretty neat. We have 7 citizens that we support in our day program. Now, we never had a facility-based program like some of the other agencies. We wanted to think outside of the box a number of years ago. We were getting calls from the parents, just like Tom Zerpoli was saying. Every week goes by, we're getting people reaching out for help. Some of the folks didn't want their children in facility-based programs. So what we do in our day program is we match staff one-to-one with individuals with special needs, and we go out into the community and explore things that they may be interested in. We have some folks that work part-time at a law firm doing some clerical work, shredding papers, things like that. We have other people that are working on personal health and fitness programs. We have one young lady who is probably one of the most mentally challenged individuals that we serve. She's nonverbal. She's probably functioning on the level of a toddler, but she volunteers at one of the Carroll County elementary schools, and she helps children to read. Okay, now you think, okay, how is this young lady with these profound disabilities helping kids to read? She loves to have people read to her. So periodically she meets with kids who are struggling with their reading in the media center. They plop down in beanbag chairs and they take turns reading to her. She smiles, she giggles, she laughs. She's providing reinforcement to those kids. She's not judging them if they mess up on a word or two. She's providing positive feedback, and it helps with the kids' self-esteem. And if you know anything about, kids and reading, sometimes it's a challenge. But that's her way of volunteering, and literally she's being successful helping kids learn how to read. So it's a neat story. We have a lot of stories like that coming from our day program. But what we want to do is we want to help the folks that we support here in Carroll County live fulfilled lives and help other folks in the community. What's new? The past 2 months, we've filled the vacancies that we had in our program. We had a gentleman from here in Westminster who was inappropriately placed in a nursing home, did not need to be there. He had a cognitive disability. He doesn't have dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that. We had a placement open up for him, and we got him in here, and he thanked us profusely for rescuing him from that nursing home. In the past, different commissioners have asked us, well, what happens if we don't fund you guys? What happens to folks if the county doesn't intervene? Well, they get dumped at hospitals or nursing homes, or sometimes end up in the criminal justice system. So this was a case where we did in fact rescue somebody from a nursing home. Another new person's moving in on the 12th of this month. She lives in the Union Mills area right now with her elderly mother. Her elderly father just died. It's hard caring for an adult child with disabilities when you're in your 90s. Okay, so we were able to provide a placement for this young lady right in Westminster. She's going to be a few miles away from the family. She can still see them, spend holidays with them, but mom doesn't have to worry now about what's going to happen to her daughter when mom passes away. Her daughter's got a home, and she will have that home with flying colors as long as she lives and chooses to live with us. So there are some neat things going on right here in the county, and we are again helping the folks in the Carroll County. The majority of our employees, by the way, live within a 15-mile radius of Westminster. Some of them are coming down from Pennsylvania, but the majority of them live right here. So the dollars that we spend here to help folks in Carroll County go to pay employees who spend their money here in Carroll County as well. July 1st, in response to the employment crisis, I think what's Carroll County 2.8% right now unemployment.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever seen it like that in my adult life. It makes it hard for all of us to get employees. I'm sure you heard Zerpoli and Shriver talk about that before I came up. We bit the bullet on July 1st and spent our entire increase from the state of Maryland to raise every single direct support job pay rate by $1 an hour. It's costing us about $180,000 for this fiscal year. We have to do something to stop losing good staff. We don't have a draw like McDaniel College program that Dr. Zerpoli does, so we have to draw from the general population. Right now, full-time staff will start off day one anywhere from $13 to $15 an hour. Part-time staff, a substitute, will start here at $11.50 an hour, and regular part-timers start out at $12.50 an hour. So we've got to keep our pay rates well above minimum wage, which I think is $10.10 or something like that in Maryland right now. But that's what we're doing and what's new. Our challenges here in the past, the commissioners have asked, what do you need? What's the big challenge? And there's three that I listed here. Right now, the employment issue is our biggest challenge. Just so you understand, Disabilities Administration from DHMH pays us, averaged across all employees, $12.09 per hour. Now, that doesn't take into consideration their education, the fact that they've worked for 15 years and they're now making $18 an hour. We get $12.09. We have to figure out how to make that work. So we have a very small organizational structure. We have folks wearing multiple hats so that we can afford to spend more money on staff. We get right now about 20% above minimum wage from the state, and that's the lowest level of state funding we've had in the last decade. We're going to continue to advocate with the folks in Annapolis, but for us, the help that we get from the county is significant, and we do appreciate it. One of the things that sucks a lot of money out of our system is increased mandates from the state government. We have new changes coming that Mr. Schreiber was talking about with the Medicaid program and wanting people to get more and more out in the community. Well, when you take somebody out in the community, you have more one-on-one staffing, you have more transportation expense. It costs us a lot more. We have new and additional training requirements. We get new nursing requirements. All these things cost more. Somebody comes up with the regulation, but then there's no dollars to fund that regulation. So for Flying Colors, the support that we get from the county, we use for those unfunded mandates. And again, we thank you all very much. I would like, when budget time comes around, to talk with you all about additional funding for our agency. Right now, out of the 4 disability agencies, we're getting a little over $40,000 compared to hundreds of thousands that ARC, Change, and Target get. I'm not asking for anything like that, but I'd like the commissioners at some point in time to consider maybe a funding formula based on the number of people served or the type of services provided, so there could be a more equitable distribution of funds amongst the disability agencies. The last thing's right here, employee health insurance continues to be a big challenge. I know you all have heard about this before, but we had to leave our Care First Blue Choice program for a less expensive, lower quality Aetna healthcare plan, just so we could afford to continue to provide insurance for our employees. We can no longer provide additional coverage for husband, wife, parent, child, whatever, family coverage. We used to subsidize that. An employee can still get it, but they're paying 100% of the cost for that extra child or spouse that they add on. Again, health insurance is one of our greatest expenses, and it just keeps going up and up and up. So again, I want to welcome the commissioners to come out and visit. I'm going to follow up when I leave here with your staff. If there are any questions that anybody has, I'd be happy to answer them right now.
Well, I appreciate the invitation and definitely want to take you up on that. So I look forward to following up, you know, when we get the opportunity to get out there. I appreciate your briefing. You, along with the others, just again share with us just how kind of fortunate and blessed we are to have a community that's so selfless in giving to those that are disadvantaged and disabled. So you highlighted, again, such great goodwill that you and the others are providing. So thank you.
Carroll County is a great place to live. I mean, it really, truly is. Folks come from all over to get services and supports here. And the neat thing is that nonprofits work together. I'm sure Christine, if she's back there, will share that with you. But the disability agencies are Flying Colors and Change. We work closely together. We train each other's staff. I train the staff with some of the behavioral trainings for the Senior Inclusion Program, which is a county agency, but we all work closely together to save money, and that actually helps everybody. Yep.
I'd like for potentially Ed and I to do that visit together because time is of the essence. I am truly impressed with the amount of services that are offered in this county. I had no idea. I was completely ignorant. I'm getting educated. And I know that I have plenty of constituents that think I have an intellectual and developmental disability, but I don't think I need your services. But we look forward to helping you guys out.
So many things I could say.
I know minimum wage is coming up in the legislature again. Dealing with it. You said $1 an hour is about $180,000 a year to you?
For our agency.
For your agency.
For our employees. But I mean, we had to do something because we're competing with McDonald's and Sheetz and all these other places, and they're raising their wages. And when minimum wage goes up, we want to get good employees. We want to have employees stay with us. We don't want them to leave for 25 cents an hour somewhere else. Again, they are having an impact, a positive impact on the lives of citizens here, and we need to keep them here.
Yeah, economic inflation has a double-edged sword, or economic expansion has a double-edged sword, that the ramifications as we see all of our costs going up.
Anything else? Mike, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
gentlemen,
Mike.
ladies.
Thank you very much.
Have a good lunch.
Yep. Okay, approval of minutes. Let's quickly run through them. The first set is from Thursday, November the 29th at 1 p.m.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay.
Now, the two of us.
Say
were
we're
not
basically the only
participating
ones
in the-
here, so.
Yeah, I know that we're discussing what we're gonna do with the minutes, but more to come on that. I mean, I know that's up to us, right?
There's no rule, I mean, if you're saying somebody wasn't here.
Right.
Well,
Right.
Commissioner Boucher and I were not in.
Right, this was the previous, this was.
Those were the good old days.
Yeah. Okay, so with that in mind, I'll take, will you have a motion?
Already
Second, in favor of approving the 29th? Signify by saying aye.
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 And I will abstain because I wasn't there.
Well, that kills me.
Well, I can't, I mean, I wasn't, so, I was, well.
Okay.
Tuesday, the 18th, 3 p.m., that was
Motion
our
to
joint
approve.
delegation meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thursday, the 20th at 10 a.m.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Agendas, real quick. Hello, Ms. Hoover.
Hello.
The agenda wizard.
Okay, week of the 14th. Monday, the 14th, the Transit Advisory Council, that's Commissioner Frazier. Tuesday, the 15th, Planning and Zoning, that's Commissioner Rothstein. Then at 1 p.m., we have another one of our work sessions where all of us will be attending on rezoning. Also at Tuesday, the 15th, at 5 p.m. is a legislative reception in Annapolis for the Maryland State Fire Association, and I plan on being at that. Then on Wednesday, the 16th, that is our first day of our legislative meetings. That'll be attended by myself, and you can add Commissioner Rothstein to that, I think.
Correct.
Thursday, the 17th, we have open session. The topics to include water and sewer master plan to go to public hearing, which we discussed today. Piney Run Dam assistance application, exercise the options to purchase a farm through the Rural Legacy program, and then we continue our agency presentations, soil conservation, family and children's services, Union Mills Homestead, and the Carroll County Election Board. And then we also have a county financial position overview by our comptroller. That's the morning. Afternoon, Veteran Shuttle Fund transfer, annual transportation plan pre-approval, grading project at the Farm Museum, Delaney property transfer. Then we continue our agency presentations, and that will be the ARC of Carroll and Youth Services Bureau. After that, wow, that's a busy day. Senior Inclusion Program annual license renewal, approval for the Senior Inclusion Program Developmental Disabilities Administration.
And I have added one additional item.
No, you can't do that. And Senior Inclusion Program to make application to become a medical assistance provider, and you have added,
It's about local management board, so I would say it would be going until about 4 p.m. that day.
okay. In for the long haul that day.
Provide
Friday.
the coffee.
Friday the 18th is the BWI Partnership Breakfast, Commissioner Rothstein. 10 a.m. that day is the Operation Kids Safe Year-Round Safety Center Press Conference at Wance and Weaver in Hampstead. Saturday the 19th, we begin the season of fire company banquets. Always a great chance to get good food. Commissioner Boucher will be at New Windsor at 5:30, and I'll be in Harney at 6. And Commissioner Frazier has the infamous WTTR report.
He lost the bet.
Heard at 7 a.m. on Sunday morning. The week of the 21st, a reminder to all that we are closed that day in observance of the Martin Luther King Jr. Day. That's Monday the 21st. On the 22nd, Commissioner Rothstein has a Rotary Club speaking engagement. A rescue mission tour, Commissioner Boucher. Hampstead wastewater treatment groundbreaking is at 11 a.m. That's Weaver and Frazier, and I will also be at that. 1 p.m. we have another work session, again, rezoning. And at 6:15, the Carroll County State's Attorney and Carroll County Health Department video premiere of Heroin Still Kills. And that's at there's a good commercial opportunity. That's at Carroll Community College. I think, is that at 6:15 or does it start at 6:30? I think it starts at 6. Whatever, get there at 6:15. If anyone wants to see that, that's their new film that they're going to be presenting in at our high school. So provide the opportunity to see that. So right now it's Rothstein, Boucher, and Frazier. I'll probably be there as well. So list me so that we don't.
If that's not the right time, let me know.
Yeah, I thought I saw something that said 6:30.
I think there's some kind of
I mean, I'll be there, but
thing.
Okay.
You're buying the popcorn.
I am?
Yes.
That's on me then?
Yes.
Jeez, okay. Wednesday the 23rd, Fort Meade Alliance, Commissioner Rothstein. That's at 7:30. And then at 10 a.m., we again, Commissioner Rothstein and I will be in Annapolis for the Maryland Association of Counties Legislation meeting. And at 6:30 is the Carroll County Board of Education meeting with Commissioner Weaver. Pack your lunch.
Enjoy.
On Thursday, actually pack your dinner and late night snack, I guess you could say that. Thursday the 24th, we're in open. We have a grant application for the Maryland Victims of Crime Program. We have our FY20 preliminary recommended CIP and bond authorization. We get a quarterly update from the Volunteer Emergency Services Association. In the afternoon, county transportation priorities, feasibility study for North Carroll High School, National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System Program, and then we'll go into closed for some land acquisition. Saturday the 26th, Eagle Scout, Commissioner Rothstein. And Commissioner Boucher has the WTTR report. I do know we'll be upgrading that. I think the 26th also, I think Commissioner Weaver and I will be attending the Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast that day.
I think so.
So you might want to put that down, because there's more than one going. I mean, whatever. So
there may be some of those events that
yeah, some of those events are going to be thrown in that you'll add at some point. Okay. Anything for open admin?
From my side, just letters and things regarding the signing of the proclamation.
Okay, very good. So, with that in mind, I need a motion to go into closed for some pending litigation.
I move we go into closed.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then I need a motion to recess.
I move.
No?
No. Adjourn.
Oh, we're going to adjourn?
You have a closed.
'Cause
Yes, an administrative session is not a meeting.
Okay, so we can adjourn. Want to make sure you weren't throwing flags out there, Counselor. Thank you.
So motion.
So a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a safe weekend.